You are now entering a dangerous liberty zone where God-given natural rights are held sacred and exercised. This is your warning. Tyranny, fascism, and censorship will not be tolerated. Ideas will be exchanged freely. Rigorous debate and open discourse is encouraged. If you are weak and your beliefs are fragile, you should leave now. Prepare yourself. We are now live on the Dangerous Liberty Podcast. For some reason, my mic was muted. I don't know why that happened. Anyways, happy Tuesday, everybody. Hope everybody's doing good. We got a lot to cover. Not really. We're going to be covering the Candace crap show. Man, this has gotten even dumber and dumber and dumber. I didn't watch yesterday, but I saw several clips and I see what's going on around it. Like, is there no low? Like, how low IQ can we get? Now we're on the Freemasons. We're on the Freemasons. We are going with a Bible, the Freemason Bible. Charlie Kirk was sacrificed. I got some imagery to show you guys, but it is just, I mean, seriously, I never expected this to get as dumb as it is, and then people still taking it seriously. I don't know what her views were yesterday, but it's I don't know. I don't even know what to say. Like, I have become so disenchanted, so disappointed with the American public through all this that I don't even know where to begin with all of it. But you know what? We don't have to worry about that because we got you guys as an audience, and you guys are not low IQ. You guys are well informed. You're smart. You have discernment. You know how to do a little bit of critical thinking. You got some common sense. And that's like, I'd rather have 100 of you guys than 10 million of these wackadoodles out there. LisaKnows will be joining us in just a few minutes. So I'm kind of stalling just a little bit for her to come in. Oh, 2 million views yesterday. 2 million views. Like, I'm hoping 90% of that is bots. I just hope. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Look, what I can tell you is that is being investigated at a very high level, because I do think that is. And this is what I've said from the beginning of why this stuff is so important. When it came on my radar back in November, I saw what it was. It was clear to me that it was a psyop. It was clear to me that we had a ton of bot activities. I think this is highly influenced by Russia, China, and every single Islamic country out there that hates us. I think that's where we're at with all this stuff. And you see her. I got a couple things. You know what? Matter of fact, let's just jump into some of these things real quick. Let's go take a tour around X. Before that, though, I do want to say hi to everybody over there. We got one great cat. Yeah, I'm gonna watch her in a few minutes. She's saying you should jump. I know she's watching. Like, we're gonna start to where we can fast forward at least through so starting late's always good with her as far as I'm concerned. Just like Khan, my awesome moderator, is saying, make sure you like, subscribe, and if you want to support the channel, down in the description below is a link. If you want to become a member, we'd really appreciate that. If you're not following us on all the other social medias, make sure you go follow us there. I do want to let you guys know that I am currently afflicted with the worst affliction on the face of the planet, and that is the man flu. I have the man flu. I'm just barely holding on here. So I've been making fun of my family. Not really making fun of them, but give them a hard time. Everybody's been sick. And until yesterday, I was not sick. And I was telling them what weak genes they had. And they need to liven up and toughen up. Of course, by yesterday evening, I was coughing, hacking, curled up in the fetal position, shivering. Anyways, we're still going to have a good time. Let's jump over here to X. I want to say hi to everybody else over there. Texas Motherbird Con. See, I'm getting distracted. Ben, the mod king. He's a mod for like 12 channels over there. JP6. Who else we got over there? Several more. Make sure you guys say hi. Anyways, we're going to have fun today. I am not going to let this nonsense get me down and just I'm going to try not to let it get me aggravated. Watching the craziness and knowing that all of this stuff makes sense in some discombobulated brains out there it's depressing, to say the least. But we're gonna try to make sure that we don't let her get us down. A couple of things crazy going on next that I want to share with you real fast while we're waiting on Lisa. And I'm going to pull this down. All right. So everybody, so for those of you who haven't heard, Erica Kirk has been appointed to the Air Force Academy Board of Visitors. And I'm going to talk about what that is in just a few minutes. But people are losing their ever-loving minds over this for some reason. Anything good with Erica, of course, they're going to lose their minds. Just so we're clear, this was a position that Charlie Kirk was appointed to. And of course, he was murdered. And so in honor of him, President Trump has now appointed Erica Kirk into this position. And of course, in people's broken brains, what they think that is Erica Kirk is not qualified to run the Air Force Academy. This is absurd. All right. Obviously, it's not running the Air Force Academy. I went down here and I started arguing with this chick. Again, I'm an effing retard. I've been extremely critical of Candace. She hasn't. And I actually looked at her profile. She's 100% behind Candace. But what this essentially, this title, really, it's an honorary position, a little more than honorary. But what this actually does, the entire position is non-binding. Here we go. Is strictly advisory. It inquires into morale, discipline, curriculum, physical affairs, etc. Makes non-binding recommendations. It's a board of 6 people. Non-binding recommendations and submits semi-annual reports to the SecDef via the Secretary of the Air Force. It must visit annually, once a year. They visit once a year. It's a non-paid position, and they hold no directive or operational authority. No operational authority whatsoever. And people are losing their minds. So, that's just one of many. And of course, I decided to troll them a little bit. Let me show you. It's right here. And people are responding to it seriously too. That's what kills me. All right, breaking. Erica Kirk is now in charge of everything. It's now confirmed that due to her recent appointment to the Air Force Academy Board of Visitors, Pete Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard will now answer directly to Erica Kirk. She will oversee all combat operations, second in command to only Bibi Netanyahu, who runs everything, of course. How is she qualified for this? Jews, Israel, because that's where we're at with all this. And of course, people are losing their minds. Now, I do want to talk about this. I find this hilarious. So apparently, Candace yesterday was talking about some diagrams of what's going on inside the UVU overhead territory, right? And of course, now we have people creating diagrams to visualize what she was talking about. Look at this nonsense. Look at this slop. And by the way, John Mappin retweeted this. He actually retweeted this whole thing and is taking this very seriously. This is witchcraft. Where do you get these lines? You just are making things up. Nothing correlates with anything. We're just throwing shapes in there. It is so stupid. It is so low IQ. I love this. Britta, no soup for Knowles. She said making shapes is fun. And I just want you to see that he retweeted this. They sacrificed Charlie. Black magic ritual. So these people want us to actually take all of this stuff seriously. And it is beyond idiotic. The idiocy that these people, every time I think that these people can't get any dumber, I am just completely shocked at their commitment to prove me wrong on a daily basis. So, that's where we're at with all this. And I can't help but ask, what happened to the Freemasons? To the French Foreign Legion? What happened to the U.S. military? What happened to the people in maroon shirts? What happened to Fort Huachuca? Are we now saying that the Freemasons were involved? They were actually at Fort Huachuca. I posted earlier, we need to get Mitch Snow on here so that we can confirm or deny whether or not he saw Freemasons. Because if we tell him, hey, look, we're looking for Freemasons, he's going to confirm that we definitely saw Freemasons. So, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how it can get any dumber than this. Kristi Noem will be her office secretary. We do talk about that. Agree, hella crazy people. SF picking up guy to do SF stuff. Guy said he saw a helicopter pick him up. Dumb guy telling 0331. I don't know what you guys are talking about over here. As always, folks, we will prioritize super chats, and we will be pulling her up. I am a Mason, and we are too busy making pancakes to do all that. Look, I don't know what's going on with the Freemasons. I don't really care one way or the other. Have no association with them. Don't know that much about them. What I will say is I've known some Masons, and they're obviously good people. I have seen all the information, propaganda, whatever you want to talk about, whatever you want to call it, that indicates that at higher levels we start getting to some deep dark stuff. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't really care, but what I can most assuredly tell you is that I don't think the Freemasons were involved in Charlie Kirk's assassination, unless Tyler Robinson was a Freemason. Yeah, that explains everything. Bronson is a Freemason. Explains it all. Explains his infatuation with the peanut butter pancakes. All right, so Candace is already going here. We're going to fast forward. I like looking at her comment section. We got Epstein this, Go Max Candace for Charlie. All the normal tropes. I know I'm not showing it to you guys right now, but I will. And I will do my best. What exactly are Freemasons? You know what, Heidi? We'll pull up some information on that at the end of this. So everybody remind me. I want to do that. We'll do a quick dive, not a deep dive, but we'll do a quick dive into Freemasonry. And I'm sure you'd get different answers from a lot of different people. But let's just go ahead and fast forward a little bit here, where we got the lovely DEI queen.
Countries and companies.
Can't wait to hear what additional nonsense.
Board visitors.
Oh, yeah. Here we see. She's already talking about it. I knew she's going to lose her mind over this. She is going to lose her mind over this appointment. And it's so silly. Charlie Kirk was already appointed that. I don't know what the big deal is.
All right, you guys. In today's episode of Everybody Grieves Differently, and by the way, I should say we are in like season 17, episode 4. The writers are running out of ideas and they're just putting up things that don't even make sense anymore. Yeah, well, on today's episode, President Trump has appointed Erica Kirk to the Air Force Academy's Board of Visitors. Now, if you would like to know how that further empowers this world-renowned widow who is definitely grieving, I will explain that to you. Is she qualified? Of course not. Not even a little bit. Doesn't even matter. Sure. Also, I got to speak what you need to know on this Tuesday morning. So you get back to work, Goyam. You'll be lucky if you ever pay off those student loans, pay down that mortgage. Erica Kirk, on the other hand, well, she's just being handed promotions. In case you missed it, her husband died. So now she will be advising the Department of Defense. I don't know. With this appointment, Erica joins just 15 other members. That's how exclusive this board is. There's just 15 other members, and they are responsible, just so you understand what the job requires. They're responsible for making recommendations to the Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, regarding changes to the Air Force Academy. They're also tasked with providing an annual report regarding the Military Institute's morale, its finances, its financial state, and its academics. Now, you might be wondering right now, how on earth is Erica Kirk? How did she really just graduate from an apparent stay-at-home mother to suddenly being qualified to submit financial, academic, and military morale reports to the Defense Secretary of the United States? And if you're wondering that, you should know that you're everybody. We are all wondering this, but I don't know, guys. Her husband died. That's what I'm told. We are just constantly being reminded that her husband died. Therefore, hey, she could be president one day. That's what Charlie said, allegedly. There's no, so we can't see where he said it, but he did say it. He just happened to say that she's going to be president one day. And some would say that maybe it's starting to look like a Claire Underwood from House of Cards situation. Maybe we don't feel so great about her ambition in this moment. But those people, you should dispel what they're saying. They would be wrong because the experts have explained things very clearly. And the experts say Erica is qualified because Charlie was qualified. She's literally just taking his place. Anything he can do, she can do better. Yeah, sure. Charlie was a literal boy genius, boy wonder, who had been militarily inclined.
All right, so let's jump over here and take a look at what the requirements for this role is. We're sure the staff, the United States Air Force Academy Board of Visitors is established by federal law under 10 USC 9455. It serves as an advisory body to inquire into matters such as cadet morale, discipline, social climate, curriculum, yada, yada. The board provides independent advice and recommendations, including semi-annual reports submitted to the Secretary of Defense through the Secretary of the Air Force. Membership composition. The board is constituted annually and consists of up to 16 members, a mix of congressional designees and presidential appointments. So the congressional designees, typically 10 members, chair of the Senate Armed Services Committee, ranking member of the Senate Armed Services. So 10 of these are typically either actual congressmen and women and or designees. And then there's presidential appointments. There's 6 members. Designated directly by the president, serves 3-year terms with holdover until a successor is named. At least 2 must be USAFA graduates. Members serve without compensation, and there is literally no requirements whatsoever to meet any of these, other than 2 of these have to be USAFA graduates. Obviously, when you're talking about somebody like Charlie Kirk or Erica Kirk jumping into these roles and being designated, everybody knows what's going on with these, right? They realize that they are not there to contribute a whole lot. They're not a lot expected out of them. They're there to, give assistance or whatever else. Look, these are honorary designations, and it's an honorary position. It's ceremonial at best. And then, sometimes they may have some great ideas and some, out of the box thinking compared to everybody else that is in there. But that's what it is. And we can talk about, Charlie Kirk, he was into politics and he did his thing. And of course he was great at what he did, but there's nothing that we can look at his background and say, hey, you know what? You're a perfect candidate for this. You meet the requirements. Like, I don't know what Charlie Kirk would bring to the table in this that other people, especially, the average person that has actually served, whether it be in the Air Force or other branches of the military, I think they would probably be better candidates. But these are strictly up to the president. So whoever he wants to appoint, he can appoint them. Now, when we compare and contrast Charlie Kirk to Erica Kirk, Charlie Kirk doesn't have a college degree. He didn't finish his college degree. And I know there's much ado, and there's some, there is some consternation around whether or not some of the degrees, I guess, Erica Kirk, and I'm just giving, I don't believe that, by the way, just so we're clear. I'm just talking to you, but I'm going to give them, apparently she didn't actually graduate. Their assertion is that she didn't actually graduate summa cum laude, even though that she said she did. And then there was 2 universities that didn't publicly list her records, which means nothing to me, by the way. But she has at least 2 degrees. There is nothing that disqualifies Erica Kirk. And if President Trump, who's the only person that matters, decides to put Erica Kirk in Charlie's stead in this appointment, then it's none of your damn business. Especially not you, Candace. You got nothing. You bring nothing to the table. I still am not sure that she's actually graduated. And I think that needs to be looked into, because I've looked for those records. I can't find those records. I've seen some information that says she completed the requirements for a bachelor's degree. I don't know what that means. So again, I think that's something that we should all explore a little bit more for sure. So that's where we're at on this, but I digress. But I just want everybody to know what we're getting into and what she is complaining about right here.
Since high school. Remember, his plan initially was to get into West Point, but then he established Turning Point, and it drove his life into a different direction. And sure, Charlie then built and ran that successful college campus student organization with chapters all across the nation. And sure, that organization earned him the ear of the president of the United States and every major political player in the country and world. And sure, that organization was taking $100 million in annually. But what? It's hard. Erica's husband died, so now she's qualified to take his place. That's how this works now. And that's what she's doing. Charlie, by the way, had himself earned that appointment. And there was backlash going, wait, whoa, this is a very big deal. We shouldn't be mixing politics with this. He had earned that appointment in March of 2025. So just 6 months before he was assassinated. We can all therefore reasonably assume that his beauty pageant wife who makes t-shirts with biblical verses on them is going to bring the same level of experience to this exclusive role because she's grieving. And the math on this is really simple. It makes perfect sense if you don't think about it at all.
All right, poor Erica Kirk is grieving, and she should not be appointed to this role because she's grieving. And now we have LisaKnows that has joined us. I'm glad somebody said to send you a link because I forgot to. Anyway,
know. I sent it to you in the chat, and then I texted you. And so finally I went into like our group chat. And I was like, if you guys are watching Gary right now, start putting it in the comments because I can't join until he sends me a link.
Well,
Anyway,
I'm glad you're here.
They were on it. So thank you guys for doing that. I appreciate your help.
We got a great.
Did she already get into the Air Force Academy nonsense?
Yeah, we're into that. We're only a couple minutes into this, and she's whining and complaining that Erica Kirk has no business doing it, and that's kind of where we're at with this.
Of course.
So we'll play anytime that you have something to say. Just yell at me, and we'll pause it.
Okay.
And you want to know what I think? I think that why stop there? Why stop there? We're so far past ridiculous. I want them to actually just accelerate things. Why not just make Erica the defense secretary altogether? Why not just give her command and control over the Army, the Air Force, the Marines, the Space Force? I do not see a legitimate reason why Erica wasn't sitting to the left of Trump in the Situation Room.
All right. So I've pointed this tactic that she uses all the time, the tactic of the absurd, right? She's arguing from absurdia. And this is what she does every single time. She exaggerates things. This goes back to, oh, you got to be scaling the roof like Spider-Man. So she argues from this standpoint. It's absolutely straw man. It's dumb. It's low IQ stuff. But again, her people will believe it. And look, she's doing exactly what I did with my tweet. I said, Erica's been put in charge of everything. She's second in command to only Bibi Netanyahu. And I said that as a joke. She's using this as a actual, she thinks it's a substantive argument, but it's obviously not.
It's the whole, like, there's no middle ground, right? There's no, it's always got to be one extreme or the other. You have to be on one end of the spectrum. Like, there's no, that, yeah, she plays with that type of language all the time, and it drives me absolutely insane.
And it should, like, any, person with any common sense, any reasonable person, like, there is no way, if I had somebody in my life that I met with on a regular basis, and there's people that those people that exaggerate everything. I don't know if you all have ever seen the Dane Cook stand-up bit where he's talking about, his girlfriend that exaggerates everything. And he's like, yeah, I saw this fire and there were like 1 million firemen. And he's like, 1 million firemen? Really? 1 million firemen? But those type of people absolutely drive me crazy. And there's so many people out there that do that. And it's like talking to a 14-year-old girl. Like, I so believe that she's stuck with that 14-year-old brain that was damaged and traumatized because of high school experiences. We were talking about that the other day with Tamara. Other people have brought it up. I think it's a very legitimate point.
Yeah, it definitely shows a lack of maturity. That's for sure.
From when they bombed Iran. That seems perfectly logical now. I mean, her husband was assassinated and she's a grieving widow. So, yeah, maybe she could provide counsel to the president regarding this crucial Operation Epstein Fury. That's what we're calling it. We know what this is really about. They're distracting us from the Epstein files and just doing whatever Israel wants, like always, which brings me to Jeffrey Epstein in general. Speaking of Jeffrey Epstein, who was in fact an occult Jewish pedophile, I wanted to show you this email. I had mentioned it yesterday that took place between him and the Princess of Norway. I had mentioned it because, I was casually discussing how the real aims of these people is they just want less humans. The elites want less humans on Earth. They do not want us to be able to reproduce. They will give us whatever propaganda serves, whether you're left or right. You're going to see this email that I'm going to show you to put it in its proper context. The lead up to this email is the two of them discussing food and antibiotics destroying living organisms. I'm very antibiotic. We'll save that for another show. Anyways, this discussion ends with a mild celebration regarding how ultimately that's going to give them the power to just create humans. This is a conversation back in 2012. Let's read it together. She writes, the princess writes, "You always make me smile because you tickle my brain, but I want the data from now, or the bill is mine. It is the cocktail of all of the unnaturals that have a profound effect on the early stages of development in humans. Soon, people won't be able to make new humans anymore. But I guess that would be La La Land great because we can just design them in a lab." So futuristic. Just design humans in a lab. I just think it's really important for me to underscore to you guys that left and right, that has always been the goal. Less humans. To my lefties, truly, it was never about my body, my choice. Go down the Emma Goldman rabbit hole. Go down.
I just want to point out, and I'm just curious to see where she takes it. That is obviously a strange email. We have no context of what they're talking about or whatever else. Sounds very nefarious. Maybe. I don't know. But the fact is like you can't draw too many conclusions from that. I don't know what this person's talking about, the unnaturals. What I can tell you is that birth rates are going down. I mean, that seems where that, like, we just take a step back and kind of steel man this just a little bit. Birth rates are going down, and there's all kinds of other issues with one of the biggest problems, the reason that birth rates, and by the way, some of these other things, whether it be disease, whether it be genetic problems or whatever else, is both men and women are having kids much later, which causes a cascade of problems. Like there's a lot of good science that indicates both for men and women, it's much better to have kids at a much younger age. Most women now are waiting to their mid 30s, their 40s, same thing with men. I mean, that's just one of many problems. But the fact here is like, there's nothing that you can actually conclude from that statement. Now she's going to take that, which is essentially nothing more than a tofu email. And then she's going to turn that into whatever that she wants. And that's where we always go with this. I would love to find something in the Epstein files. Lisa, I don't know if you've looked through them. I've spent hours and hours and every now and then jump back in there and start looking through them some more. There's nothing I can find that is actionable in the Epstein files. And I've talked about this a bunch. We all thought that we were going to get into the Epstein files and we were just going to have clear-cut videos, imagery, or whatever else, or these lists of like who the person is and what they did. And that's not what we have. And at the end of the day, no matter what, we still have a justice system, and there's a system that we have to make sure that we have probable cause, we have the evidence, and everybody now we are of the idea, no, you're in the Epstein files. It doesn't matter what context you're in there. You're guilty, and now we need to prove your innocence. I will also say that the Epstein files is now the red herring of the woke right and the left, so that everybody will focus on that and not focus on the positive things that President Trump and the Trump administration has done. We haven't talked about you don't hear these people talk about the successes of immigration. We are not talking about all the economic success that we're having. And we can talk about, if you disagree with the conflict that we have going on in Iran right now, that's fine. But you can't completely just say, hey, you know what? President Trump hasn't lived up to his promises. The Epstein files were never a campaign promise. It was something that was mentioned in multiple interviews, but it was not part of the campaign. It just wasn't.
At the end of the day, he still has released way more than anybody else has. Now, he had significant pressure to do that. So,
Sure.
Take it with a grain of salt. But at the end of the day, he's done way more than what Biden or any of the Democrats ever did as far as releasing information on Epstein, right? And as far as the whole, I don't know where she's going with this whole birth rate thing. And she's saying that those on the right and the left don't want people to have children. Okay, but both sides definitely have their issues, but this is not something that I've seen from the right. I would say that the right definitely talks about the population decreases that we've had, the massive drop in birth rates, actually talking about that this is a crisis and that economists are like, hey guys, in a couple of years, we're going to have massive problems if we don't figure this out. And this isn't just a U.S. problem. This is a global issue, right? This is happening everywhere. And so I would say that like the right is the one that I have always seen drawing attention to this, being like, hello, hey guys, yeah, like we need to do something. This is going to be really bad. All of that, wanting to introduce things like paid maternity leave and paternity leave, and, how to reduce cost, and how to, make things more like policies that are family friendly, so that people will want to have children and to induce having children and things like that, right? Like that's more talked about on the Republican side. Not to say that Democrats wouldn't join us in some of those things, but for the most part, I don't feel like they really talk about it as much as we do or draw attention to it. So I don't really know where she's getting that that's like a both sides thing. I would disagree with her on that. It's definitely a Democrat thing when they are pushing abortion as much as they are, and the whole like childlessness lifestyle and all of that. Obviously, you see all these liberal women constantly like showing off that they don't have kids, and that they're not married, and that they can just go do whatever they want and whatever, and like glorifying that, right? So that's definitely more on their side than our side. But yeah, the whole Epstein thing, like you said, I don't think that it's actionable criminally. There are some situations in there where I think that people have lost their jobs and they needed to lose their jobs for things that were said, right? Now, again, I don't think that there's much they can do on the criminal side. But what was it, like the professor? I think he was at Harvard, maybe, or who knows? Epstein was involved with lots of different colleges and professors, but he was involved in like lots of different science programs. And he was the one that sent the email that was talking about the studies that they did on babies being able to clamp down and increase their suck reflex. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Creepy dude. I think the dude was still working at that college, and they've put him under review to discuss like removing him. So yeah, probably needs to be removed from his job. Like that type of cultural, societal repercussions. Absolutely. For some of these individuals, criminal repercussions and charges, no, that's going to be a lot more difficult. I would agree with you on that.
Yeah. Let me hit a couple super chats while we're at a pause. I know some people are saying they're having issues with audio. I'm not hearing it. I hear Lisa just fine. So as Ben just recommended, close out YouTube, open it back up, see if it fixes it, because I don't think it's on our side, but it could be. Tammy McDonald says, and said Tuesday morning, she just admitted her show is taped. She just squealed on herself. Jay Wood has been right all along. I definitely think elements of it are taped. For sure. The left knows they must destroy Erica, and with it, TPUSA. Social media is dominated by the young people, as is TPUSA. They will do anything to control the narrative in the toxic environment. My opinion. Look, I think you're right. And this is a conversation I keep having. The left understands social media, and they're looking at long-term. Folks, they're not, all the stuff that they're saying not only has an indoctrination effect on people that are watching right now, adults, but they also know that they're reaching the youth, and they're indoctrinating the youth for generations to come. That's what's taking place. And we need to wake up and start doing more, for sure. So I have some more to say on that, but we're going to play some more Candace here and keep it going.
And understand who was behind Margaret Sanger. This was always about eugenics. The goal was eugenics. They view us all to be human weeds that need to be exterminated. Now, to my conservatives who, like me, truly believed that our military was out there spreading democracy all over the world because the West is the best, and that this was going to, these wars would in some way benefit us. Nope. I think now we can accept this was about just mowing the lawn, mass murdering people, also destroying history because they want like a forever present, a forever future almost, like we did in Iraq, like we did in Afghanistan, destroying ancient civilizations, with the added plus of stealing country resources that are going to help them further poison the general Goyim population. Poppy seeds for opiates, followed by an opioid crisis in America, get everybody addicted, encourage them to kill their offspring. Big pharma in a nutshell. Okay. Yes, it is also their ultimate goal with IVF. They want all of us to have to come to them the government overlords to be able to have a family. A lot of women today are struggling with fertility issues. That's a real thing. And that is not by accident. That is by design. So there was all of this panic yesterday online. The show was trending because we're beginning to discuss the occult. We're discussing mysticism. These people are literally summoning demons, and they're making blood sacrifices. And now the world recognizes that. I think it's now a mainstreamed conversation, which is fantastic. And I wanted to follow up on that note and show you another clip of Father Ripperger discussing this on Sean Ryan's podcast. He's on there discussing as an exorcist the things that he has come across. It's a fantastic.
Add that to a new word, exorcist, not exorcist, exorcist.
Conversation. It's like 4 hours long. You should watch the entire thing. But in particular, in this clip, he's going to discuss how coming into contact, Freemasonry, essentially, and how people can raise the ranks through the occult families, how they get involved with these mystic cults in general. Anyway, take a listen.
If you are in the occult, do you just arrive at that level where you're doing satanic rituals, or do you graduate?
Some graduate. Some are actually they're trained in this stuff from the very beginning. Sometimes they're actually groomed. Where they'll watch them in college, or they'll watch them and then they'll introduce them into this through various secret societies and things of that sort. They'll get them into engaging in the occult. There's a few of these people, not many of them, that are actually part of a pedigree or history that extends back to the late 1500s, 1600s, where the occult practices has been in their family lineage literally for 300 to 400 years. And so they're so proficient in the knowledge about how this stuff works and what is actually involved. They know that there's demons and God, etc. And they know that their activity in the occult is getting demons actually involved. They fully know that. In fact, their knowledge of this stuff is almost on the same level as mine. And so they have a full understanding of it, but they're on the side of evil. And so they tend to raise their children generation after generation within that particular occult set of practices.
That is exactly right, ladies and gentlemen. These bloodlines are ancient. These practices are ancient. And the reason why they're constantly moving people all over the world is they don't want you to have this ancestral knowledge. They don't want you to know that they're doing this stuff in broad daylight. The revelation of the method. They're kind of telling you they're doing these things. More on that later. The point here is that Epstein was definitively of the mystic Frankist ilk. He was practicing mystical Judaism. There is no question about that. It always involves occult rituals, which involve harming innocent children. And regarding Jeffrey Epstein in particular, I want to throw it back to this tweet that I published on Thursday, January 29th of this year. It's really interesting in retrospect because I truly did not know what it might amount to. So the backstory here is that I had received a couple of emails from people that follow and watch the show at the White House, and they said, "Hey, Candace, Andrew Colbert, Mikey McCoy, and a couple of women look like Mikey McCoy's wife. They were in the West Wing, and we just thought that's kind of odd because."
I think she's full of shit right here. I don't think anybody called her from the White House. Matter of fact, I know that they wouldn't do that. All right. The people in there are not going to be calling Candace Owens from the White House. That's my opinion. I have no proof one way or the other, but she sure as heck ain't going to provide any proof. She's just name dropping essentially and trying to flex and pretend that she has people everywhere like she normally does.
Andrew just presented as though he was live on the Charlie Kirk show doing a phone call with Kash Patel, but actually he's here. He's in front of us here in Washington, D.C. on the other side of the country. So I followed up with them and I asked them specifically who was Andrew Colbert and allegedly Mikey McCoy and co meeting with. Could you guys ask around and figure this out where you saw them? And they said, well, and I'll quote this, the offices in that general region are senior White House staff. It could be Susie Wiles, Stephen Miller, James Braid, the vice president's hallway and the situation room connect to that lobby. So any number of people could have been in there. A Cash, the NSA director, Pete. The cabinet meeting had just let out 15 minutes prior too. So that also adds any members of the cabinet. I didn't know what to make of this, right? So I just instantly put the information out there. And this is what I tweeted. I tweeted just in case. I said, tweeting this in case it's relevant down the line. 2 days ago, Thursday, January 29th, Blake Neff and Andrew Colbert hosted Kash Patel on Charlie Kirk's show. It appeared as though Cash phoned into the show live, but he did not. Andrew Colvett was actually in the West Wing in DC that day, taking a meeting with top brass. The episode was pre-recorded. People in the White House and all around the world think Andrew is shady and intentionally wanted the public to think that he was in Arizona for some reason. So they asked me to release this information. The next bit is unconfirmed, but they believe Andrew was accompanied by Mikey McCoy and his wife, Elizabeth. If you see something, say something. Okay, so I share that. And what struck me as immediately odd was that Andrew Colvett and allegedly Mikey McCoy and his wife.
Okay, so tell me why, if this is true, let's say this is true. Andrew Colvett decided to pre-tape a show that he was going to release the next day because he knew he was traveling the next day. Like, why is that suspicious at all? And let me tell you something. If you have guests in the White House and there are people within the White House telling people like Candace that they're in the White House, folks, you will be fired for that. You'll be fired for that. I know people that have worked in the White House. I'm telling you right now, that would you'd be losing your career, and for what? So that you could let people know. I think this is, I don't doubt that she heard from somebody that Andrew Colvett and whomever else, Mikey McCoy, was going to the White House. Probably it was announced at TPUSA and people within TPUSA. But what she does is now she's trying to pretend that she has insider sources inside the White House. And folks, if that is true, I hope the NSA, I hope the FBI and everybody else is actually searching out that to confirm or deny that. Because if there are people that are willing to give compromised information and give that to Candace Owens, like, that's a real problem. That's a real problem. Because if they'll give it to Candace Owens, they'll give it to other people. And that's at least sensitive information that they shouldn't be sharing.
Which, I mean, Trump he's really buckled down on a lot of the leak issues that they had from the previous administration. And even in his first administration, he had a lot of issues with leaks and stuff. And in this administration, one of the things I can say that he's done successfully is he has really plugged the holes on those leaks and like the people that were doing that kind of stuff and gotten rid of them. And he's made sure to put people in place to like keep people in check and like not allow that to happen. Right. Because there's a lot of something that is simple as like, oh, well, we don't think it'd be a big deal to say that so-and-so is coming here for a meeting, but you don't know what the ripple effects of that could be. Right. Like how that could affect things of national security or whatever. So at the end of the day, like, no, I'm with you. I don't think that anybody in the White House is talking to her. I think she's totally full of it. And as far as Andrew pre-filming something, this is something that happens in entertainment media stuff all the time. Like everybody who's worked in film or on any type of podcast shows or just shows in general or whatever, like, it's well known and well documented that people will pre-record things, like you said, especially if they know that they have an intensive travel schedule coming up for like those couple days or whatever. Like, she's, again, run-of-the-mill things become a conspiracy. Like, it's just so ridiculous.
Blessed Mom, and I haven't looked at this. It wasn't even something I was aware of that this was something that was being pushed around. But Blessed Mom 37 says Mikey and his wife were with Erica in Arizona that day. It was debunked. So there's that. Take that for what it is.
Wife or making an effort to fake alive on Charlie Kirk's show with none other than Mr. 33 Kash Patel. Like, why do that at all? In that particular episode that they had with Kash Patel, Kash called in and it was all very performative. I never do this. I never call. Like, it's like, you guys are like together in DC. What are we doing here? I had also replied on January 29th, which you can find this tweet to someone. And I said like, hey, I'm trying to figure out why Andrew Colvett's in the White House. Now, Andrew, the reason why this also should stand out to you is because Andrew has missed plenty of episodes of the Charlie Kirk show. Sometimes it's just Blake Neff. Sometimes it's just, it's Blake and Mikey. Sometimes it's a guest host. Sometimes when traveling, Andrew even calls in for a segment. But this was, for some reason, pre-recorded and intentionally presented to the public as though it was live. I never do this. So I thought through that and I said, a fair assumption is that they did not want people to know that they were taking a meeting at the White House. And that's a very unusual desire for Turning Point USA, right? They normally love to promote the fact that they are involved with Trump, throwing flashy events at the White House, Mar-a-Lago, posing, all glammed up. So then I had to ask myself, well, what in particular was it about this meeting on this day in the West Wing that they wanted to fly under the radar? What could have been the subject that they wanted to fly under the radar? I wasn't sure. Like I said, felt important enough to tweet about it just in case. And lo and behold, the very next day on January 30th, the Epstein files were released. And I thought, oh, how precise. Is it possible that the meeting was related to the Epstein files, which are heavily redacted and obviously not complete? And said to myself, well, Erica was heavily involved in the pageantry world, really her whole life. Trump was also heavily involved in the pageantry world. More specifically, Donald Trump was actually the 50% owner of Miss America alongside NBC Universal when Erica was crowned. And Trump and Epstein's relationship, to be sure, seemed to be centered around pageantry and the modeling world and parties. There was even a lawsuit that was filed back in 1997 over a pageant company wherein one of the guys had said that during a meeting for his company that Jeffrey Epstein was there, which is kind of an honorable mention. So, okay, and Trump has never denied that he hung out with Epstein. He said, I never went to the island, but there are obviously photos. So that's interesting. And I want to make sure you understand what Jeffrey Epstein did, how he was trafficking. It's important to remember that
Wait a second. Did she say that Trump was at the island? Is that what she just said? That there's photos? Hold on. I'm going to back this up just so.
Yeah, back that up because that's not accurate at all.
Nope.
When Erica was crowned. And Trump and Epstein's relationship, to be sure, seemed to be centered around pageantry and the modeling world and parties. There was even a lawsuit that was filed back in 1997 over a pageant company wherein one of the guys had said that during a meeting for his company that Jeffrey Epstein was there, which is kind of an honorable mention. So, okay, and Trump has never denied that he hung out with Epstein. He said, I never went to the island, but there are obviously photos. So
Well, there's not. There's no photos of, I don't know what she's saying here. I mean,
He said he's denied ever going to the island, which is true. He did not ever go to the island, but she's saying, but there are photos of them together, which there are at like other parties and things. But the way she said that was very like conniving, of course.
It was intentional.
Yes.
That way, when people say, hey, you said that there was photos of Donald Trump at the island. I never said that. But that is what people are going to walk away with believing. And that's intentional.
it's interesting.
That's why
And,
she always, like says it really fast so that you don't totally catch what she's saying there. Yeah.
I want to make sure you understand what Jeffrey Epstein did, how he was trafficking. It's important to remember that Jeffrey Epstein was specifically trafficking women from Eastern Europe through modeling agencies. Okay. So it's a great cover, whether he was working with Victoria's Secrets, Les Wexner hands him the keys and all of a sudden he's like a casting director looking at all of these models. Jean-Luc Brunel in Paris, his agency, MC2 Modeling, Jean-Luc Brunel kills himself. The media doesn't want to mention the fact that they also had offices in Tel Aviv. Jean-Luc Brunel did. And that's how he was accomplishing it. Because when you see a lot of women at a modeling agency, you don't go, oh, maybe these women are being trafficked from Europe. Maybe these women are, not actually happy to be here. Maybe they're in some danger, right? It's like the illusion when there's just a lot of models at any event, whether it's a pageant, anything else, is that this is normal because it's just the world of fashion or the world of beauty or the world of modeling. Okay. So Victoria's Secret, he's doing casting for. And also when you go through his emails, it seems like he's also hand-picking girls for certain pageants. I mean, I've read through some of them. Like he had clearly a very strong relationship with the Miss North Carolina one year. I thought, okay, maybe still another coincidence, right? Erica's in pageant world, Trump's in pageant world, Epstein's in pageant world.
Here we go. We're going to create some dots and connect them, dots that don't even exist. Let's see where this goes.
Ish. Then we took a week off to investigate Erica, and I was even more stunned by some more coincidences, and I'm going to run you through them here. Okay, so in 2010, we know Jeffrey Epstein, based on the emails, begins procuring models from Romania. We also know that that's the same time and year the Black Sea Rotational Force in Constanta, Romania, is being led by Erica's cousin, Lieutenant Colonel Dennis Franzwe. It's the first time America is operating a base in Romania, which is later going to be accused of prostituting underage Romanian children. Brothel, Colonel Otto Buscher. Same time frame, Tyler Boyer goes out to Constanta, Romania, and he's hanging out and he's partying and he's drinking with Romanian models and parliament politicians. Then Tyler is going to return from Romania around September of 2010. Makes sense because he was attending Arizona State University. So school's got to get going. And then that same year, Jeffrey Epstein begins giving money to Arizona State University, specifically for their Origins project. Okay. 4 months after that, Erica, and this is now into 2011, in May of 2011, Tyler Boyer is going to get unusually elected to the Board of Regents. And I say unusually because the governor, he kind of didn't go through the normal process, and the governor just decides Tyler Boyer's the guy. And then 4 months beyond that, Erica is going to enroll into ASU for her final year of college from 2011, 2012. And immediately 2 months after that, after the semester begins, she wins Miss Arizona USA, right, in November. And right after winning, we know she's going to establish this working partnership with the U.S. Marines Black Sea Rotational Force in Constanta, teaming up with them to run the Romanian Angels Project through her 501c3 Everyday Heroes. She's going to go out to Constanta. She's working with Colonel Otto Buscher, that same colonel who's going to be accused of trafficking and prostituting underage Romanians, apparently up and through Tel Aviv. And I do want to also say about that, in general, why did she partner with the U.S. Marines at all? That's not a requirement. Okay, I went to Romania twice. My best friend was Romanian and actually lived, her family, like she grew up here, but her family lived in Constanta. You can just go do charity. You don't have to team up with the U.S. Marines. This is a EU.
Why, Candace, with all of your resources, have you never done charity? I don't know of any charitable movement, organization, or anything else that she has ever started, been affiliated with outside of TPUSA, which really isn't a charity, but it's a nonprofit. They do some charity work, but still, like, she's never done anything. So,
and here's the thing, she's going to try to take something that actually gives legitimacy to Erica and try to make it into something nefarious.
Yeah.
Actually, her working with the Marines actually gives her organization legitimacy. It gives it structure. It gives it, it's everything's more like above board that way, right? Like when you're running something, because the Marines are they're not gonna jack around, right?
Yeah.
Things are gonna be handled like in a very specific, structured, organized way. There's going to be paperwork and documentation behind everything. And you can actually, like, now, however many years removed, you can look back at that and be like, this was a legitimate operation going into this other country, especially when you're dealing with countries like Romania, where stuff is sketchy. There's a lot of corruption, right? Same with like Ukraine and some of these other places. When you're dealing with governments that don't do good with their documentation, stuff is corrupt, stuff is sketchy. You would want to work with someone like the Marines so that things are on the up and up. That, again, that actually gives her more legitimacy, not less, like how she's trying to spin it. But she keeps trying to be like, and she just had to like start this charity. Okay, if anybody knows how pageant stuff works, they have to have something called a social impact initiative. Whenever you've won a state competition like Miss Arizona or whatever state it is that you're like doing that for, right? And then same with Miss USA and Miss Universe and all of that. Like they have charity programs that they're a part of and that they start. It's part of their philanthropy like portion of holding the crown, like for the period that they hold the crown.
And it plays into their rankings.
Yes. So like again, she's trying to make it sound like this is some like strange thing that she did, but like everybody who has a crown put on their head for an official affiliate of the U.S. Pageantry system or the state affiliate systems, like this is part of what they do. Like this is well documented, well like known things. I'm so
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, like, I'm so over like her taking again the most like normal stuff and trying to turn it into a dramatic conspiracy.
But most importantly, if you did have a charity, I don't care where, and somebody was like, hey, we're the Marine Corps, we would like to get involved and help you. Like, why would you not? Like, hey, I'm trying to have the maximum impact here in a positive way. Why would I not get something like the Marine Corps? And the Marine Corps does, in the Army too, all the branches. Like they do a lot of charity work. They have people that are are tasked out just for that. And the problem here is what I don't think a lot of people are realizing, and I've come to pick up on this every single time. She literally thinks automatically that anything with the military is suspicious and nefarious and evil. And what she's essentially saying is like, you teamed up with them, so you, by extension, are evil. You didn't have to do that. Why'd you go with the military? You know they're evil. That's what she's smuggling into the conversation, whether people realize it or not. She hates the military. We've seen this time and time again. And it's even more obvious. Remind me later, I want to talk to you guys about Ryan Mata and his traitor. I mean, that guy is utterly disgusting. He should be on a list. He should be on a watch list. And I will talk about that a little bit later. And this is a person that associates, they have retweeted each other, they talk together, they've coordinated with this woman. So take that for what it is.
Real quickly, I was
Okay,
going
you
to say, so just for context too, she is linking everything back to ASU, right? And that Erica went there and Tyler went there, and they went there around the same time. So like they must have known each other. That's how they met. Like trying to make it out like they're lying about how they met and all this and that. When we were digging into Erica, because remember she was saying that she lied about her degree and she lied about like whatever. We were digging into like that. And do you want to know how many people were in their graduating class that year? What was it? I think it was 18,000, like 400 people graduated from Arizona State that year through all their different online programs and those who were actually attending on campus as well. So like it's insane like how many like these college classes are massive. Like there's no way that you could possibly ever meet all of these people. Like it's not even possible.
And that's such common sense stuff to like all of us, but to Candace and her cult, like the most common sense things just escape them every single time. Let me go ahead and hit a couple of super chats since they're up and we've paused. Air Jeff says, again, so glad you do these watch parties with like-minded, sane friends. I will never give her the satisfaction of my view. Much aloha. Thank you, Air Jeff. And by the way, Air Jeff, I remember, I don't know if it was on X or here, I remember you talking about that you're into special effects. Let's have that conversation because I do want to talk more about and dig more into and debunk definitively the stupid exploding mic theory because it is not as dumb as the palm pistol theory, which is now being recycled and reinvigorated by the Dances with Wolves.
I can't believe we're still doing this. Like we're still doing this.
So dumb. I saw Blake Bednar's today and I forwarded it to the right people, but he said, all I know is for sure that Brian Harpole hit the igniter to set off the explosive, something along those lines. So like you're directly defaming people. And I hope these people get sued to where they don't even own a pair of socks. They deserve it. G.I. Jen, Candy is mad. She hasn't been to the White House since 5/25/18. Yeah, guess what? You're not hanging out with Charlie. You're nobody. That's what happened to you, Candace. I know you're upset about it, but that's the truth. You haven't been anybody since you've got out from underneath the shadow of Charlie Kirk. And I know you're upset about it. Her big lion mouth is going to cost her money. I hope so. Gary, I just want to recognize Charlie. He went home 6 months today. Prayers for his family and the TPUSA family. Absolutely. It's 6 months. And look, you guys haven't stopped, right? And we recognize the greatness that was Charlie and that he was taken from us way too soon by the left. And then we recognize that you have all these people that are using his corpse and turning it into whatever they want and pushing ideas and narratives that Charlie would be disgusted with, specifically, and probably most importantly, the defamation, the demonization of his wife. It's disgusting. And I'm just glad I have, number one, people like you guys out there, people like Lisa that aren't giving up on this. And here we are 6 months later, and we're still fighting for the right things. It matters. Folks, this matters. I can't stress it enough. I know somebody said the other day, or just in the chat, which by the way, well, I don't want to get down on that. But listen, This is what's important because it is a big deal. This is what Candace is doing, along with Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, the stuff that's being pushed by Russia. I truly believe Russia, Iran, China, the Islamists. Look, we see what's going on in this country. I just sent out a couple of tweets today talking about terror cells are being activated. Folks, we have something going on in this country, and it is all being driven by information. And right now, the information war is being lost to these morons. Like, what's great about this chat is, like, everybody in this chat, the average IQ is greater than the collective IQ of the entire Candace cult. And
you're already winning.
Yeah, like you're winning. But the reason that they are being successful is because they're outworking us. They're out there every single day, tens of thousands of them spreading this nonsense down in my comments, down in Lisa's comments, talking crap to us and saying we're liars and we're paid by the Jews and all of the normal things. They're winning because they're outworking us. And we got to start taking this seriously. And I know people are constantly telling me, Gary, why don't you move on? And I get it that you don't understand. I get it.
No.
I would love to move on. I want to do something else. But I'm telling you right now, for the best thing for this country is to address what we have going on here, because it is 10 times more serious than most people think. Folks, we're losing our country to idiots. And if this idiot can convince so many people, it's just going to get worse, because now she's dovetailed into Tucker Carlson, which has a lot more credibility. Now we have Megyn Kelly doing the same thing. Now we have people like Baron Coleman, Ian Carroll, Ryan Mata, Project Constitution. All of these people are coalescing, and this is like, there's a couple of things they're trying to achieve. Number one, destroy the MAGA. Number two, make sure that that Democrats win the midterms in 2028. Number three is to carry water for Islam. Like, I don't know what that's all about. I don't even get it, other than that you hate this country, because our country, we are being invaded, and Islam is a threat to the United States, period.
I think it comes back to the money, right? And wasn't there someone that just recently they dug into Marjorie Taylor Greene and who was funding a lot of her stuff, because she's also mixed up in all this Jew hatred, anti-Israel madness, and they were able to connect her back to like Act Blue and a bunch of these just like straight up Soros, like super liberal organization and like funding streams of money, right? And so like it would not surprise me if people start, digging into Tucker and all of them, that they're getting paid by a lot of those same, which, is not surprising. They're the ones that started all the pro-Pally movement stuff, and like, they're just simps for terrorists at the end of the day. They're just massive simps for terrorists, and they will do anything they can to try to make it seem like the Jews are responsible for everything.
I'm still trying to work through what the incentive is for Tucker. And maybe I'm delusional, and maybe there's some affinity that I had for Tucker that's still left over, and I'm just completely blindsided by this, because that could be possible. I have a hard time believing that Tucker's doing any of this stuff for money. Now,
I think he's got something in his closet. Like maybe he did something, and like they're threatening to expose something. I don't know, man. But yeah, they've got something on that man. I don't know what it is, but
let me throw this at you and see what you think about this. I think Tucker has just got to a point in his life where he doesn't have to grift anymore. I think the last 20 years of Tucker has been a grift and pandering to a base that he knows will support them and saying all the right things so that the conservative right, and this kind of goes with Candace as well. I think he's at a point to where now he can reveal himself. And this is who Tucker's always been. I think
that's true. Because when he was at Fox and those other places, there were levels of accountability in place, right? Where it's like, hey, you can't just say whatever. Like, there's a structure here, there's an order here, and there's oversight and overhead. There's some control, right? And so now that he's like outside of that, and he's like, I don't need you people. All restraints are off. So now, yeah, let's just show how absolutely insane I apparently have been this entire time. But there was just constraints on me before, and now there's no constraints. And so he's just going all in. I don't know.
I don't know if I would say that I think it was constraints from a corporate structure. I think those constraints were self-induced, saying he was grifting and saying what he knew would grow an audience and have an audience that supported him no matter what. he's just gotten to a point now where, I mean, look, he has the Tucker Carlson network. He's making 10 times the money that he ever was at Fox, and at Fox, it was a lot of money. He already had millions of dollars coming away from Fox and book deals and all the other things that he has. Now he has Alps, nicotine pouches. That's probably a multi-million-dollar company. I don't know. I'll look up to see what that's worth here in just a few minutes. And then he has all kinds of other endorsement deals and everything. Like, that guy has money flowing in out of his earballs right now. Like, so I think he's just at a point where he's like, F it. You know what? I've always hated the Jews. I've always hated this. This is where I stand politically, and now I don't have to pretend anymore. And I don't care
because back in the day, like, you had to rely on that media structure, right? Back in the day, the big networks were how you got into everything. And now, like you said, you don't have to, with the internet and social media and the influencer culture that we have now, anybody, anywhere, if you have, all of us have one of these, you know, with this in your hand, you can pretty much start a channel or start whatever and get people to believe or think what you think, or talk to an audience or build an audience. And so, you know, he's not relying on that old structure anymore. So yeah, he's become even, I mean, a lot of these free journalists, free entertainment, like open media, whatever you want to call it now, they're not connected to the old channels anymore. So they're just, and they're making even more than the people on the channels are now. It's totally done a complete reverse from what it used to be.
Yeah, I don't think he would have built an audience with his current message. Like, if he was saying this back in 2003, 4, right after 9/11, like, he would have been,
hook him in first.
Yeah, like he had to pretend he was somebody else, and his politics were different because, you know, Nathan Livingstone, Milk Bar TV, he's done a great job of showing the old Tucker versus the new Tucker. What he's saying about Iran that needs to be destroyed, blah, 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 blah. How today, like, you know, Iran could be our friend, whatever he's saying. Like, he is lying worse, at least as bad as Candace, if not worse. I mean, Tucker has done a 180. What the reason is behind it, I don't think any of us really know, but we can speculate.
All I know is Turning Point had better not have him speaking at any of their conferences, because I think that I will absolutely lose my mind.
I'm with you. I hope they don't. I think they will. I mean, I just saw the other day, Andrew Colvett was responding to one of his tweets friendly like. So, you know, take that for what it is. Follow Your Destiny says you should hand out small mirrors to guests, and each time she says something about someone else that is actually about her, hold them up. Yeah, I mean, all she does is project, for sure. Anyone that has served knows about operations that are part of patrols that include delivering toys, school supplies, more to the kids, even though in a war zone, nothing new. Absolutely. There's always different charities on post. If you're on a base, you're on a military post, an army post, fort, whatever you got going on, there's always multiple charities that are working with the U.S. military. Scamdis floods the zone. Let me throw this up there. Dr. Altoids up in the house. Scamdis floods the zone with random trash, coincidence, and hearsay. The stories are deliberately impossible to track. Those mentally predisposed to conspiracies assume legitimacy based on the volume. That is true. So they're outsourcing the conclusion. They don't care what it is. They trust Candace. Candace can steal all of these random facts, these people's names, these 50 different storylines. They don't care. They're waiting for Candace to come to a conclusion at the end, and they're just going to accept it. They're not tracking all that stuff. They're not tracking what's said here. They're just waiting for Candace to tell them what to think. That's what's going on.
I mean, like, even with this that she has up on the screen right now, right? She's trying to link this, like, Epstein. She says Epstein got his girls through these Eastern European modeling agencies. Okay, that's one way. That's one way that he would get girls. We know that he actually got girls through multiple different ways. I believe, was it Virginia, that in her book, and when she did multiple interviews before she passed away, she met him from her job. She was working at Mar-a-Lago as a locker room girl, and Ghislaine Maxwell came in there, and basically she recruited her in that way, and slowly they groomed her into the whole process. But she was just at her job, working a job, and they came to where she was. There were girls that have reported in interviews that they were on vacations with their families, and they came to the resort that they were staying at and got them in that way. girls that they met at parties. I mean, he would bring girls in from all different routes. This is one route that he used, was modeling agencies and things like that. But of course, Erica was a model and a pageant queen. So that's the one that we're going to focus on. And we're going to, like, you know, link all these things back together through that one singular way that he operated, when we know that he operated multiple different ways. Like, it's so sneaky and it's so conniving. I hate it.
It is. It really is. All right. Let me just double check. Oh, we got got a couple more super chats real quick. Did you hear what Tucker said about our military? No. Shoot me a link, Jen, and I will play that.
Like, which one or which time? Because
yeah, I'm assuming it's something. Oh, well, I did hear where Tucker was talking about the only reason that Trump would want a unconditional surrender is because that allows us to go in and rape and pillage the nation. And he's talking about our troops. So I'm assuming that's what she's talking about. And again, he's going to sit there and try to pretend and him and Hall and pretend that's not what he's saying, but that's exactly what he's saying. Like, the disrespect for our military that we've seen from these morons, that now people that I used to love, literally, I felt brotherly love toward Tucker Carlson, somebody I listen to just about every day. I can't stand him. I see him for what he is now. He's a disgusting human being, and he's a liar. And again, the first time I saw that and woke up to that was his speech at the Charlie Kirk Memorial. What he was saying about Jews in the back room, people eating hummus, and then 2 days later trying to pretend that he wasn't talking about the Jews. It's disgusting.
I mean, is he still trying to push the whole? I think he's still trying to push the whole. We shot the girls' school, right? The missile. Did you see that they finally released a video that shows the missile literally coming from right down the road at their own military base, and it goes right across to the school where the girls' school was at? And we're like, hey guys, pretty sure that wasn't us. That's definitely them. You can literally see where it launches from and then goes right into the school.
Well, here's what I'll say about that, just to be clear, and I am hedging just a little bit on this because I've looked into this a little bit more. It is possible that what we're seeing, where it looks like that launch from is all we're just seeing is this trajectory coming from the horizon. It may end up being a U.S. munition. I don't think it is. I think it's about.
I just think that we have some of the most precise missiles in the entire world. I mean, yes, people can make mistakes. I'm not going to say that. I don't think,
like, again, I've seen super expensive munitions like that and guided bombs and everything else, like, miss targets. So what I can tell you for sure, because let's forget about the premise. The premise here is, oh, that was a U.S. and it hit a school, so now therefore we are guilty of a war crime. No, the heck we're not. That's not how war crimes work, you moron. Number one, there was no strategic or tactical value for us sending a $200 million missile into a school. They don't cost that much, but they cost a lot. Like, it makes zero sense that we would ever target a school. So therefore, we were not intentionally targeting that school. So if something did happen, and it can, all right, that was unintended. That's collateral damage. It's unfortunate. It's collateral damage. It's a waste of a missile, because guess what? We have real targets that we'd rather hit, not kill a bunch of little girls. So there's that part of it. And so that right there negates the whole false narrative that they're trying to create. Like, you don't get to choose what is a war crime and what's not, even if it's ours. And I agree that I think most of the evidence points to that's not ours. But what I can tell you is that trajectory clearly shows, because when you see the larger, the original video with a larger field of view, you see that thing and then it just goes straight down. That is not a normal trajectory for any cruise missile. All right. It's clear to me that is a missile that is malfunctioning. So I don't care if it was Iranian. I don't care if it was ours. I think that it was a missile that malfunctioned regardless. So we are not guilty of war crimes. That being said, we know that Iran constantly, and even in this conflict, they are intentionally targeting civilian populations. They have done it 1,000 times. Nobody's talking about that. So this is a trope and a false narrative that Ian Carroll is pushing, and many other people, including Ryan Mata and all these other people that hate America, that should just pack their freaking bags up and get out of this country because you don't like our country. Like, you're as bad as all the left people, like the far right, whatever they are, the woke right, the freaking hate Israel first crowd. Like, get out of the country. I hate you. I literally do, because you hate America so bad, and you're just willing to lie and to do anything possible to make this country and the people that serve this country look bad. And then on top of that, you have people like Candace Owens saying, hey, don't worry about your oath to the military. Just get out of the military. Like, it's sedition, period. It is. It's like, she probably won't be charged with that. I'm not even saying I want her to be charged with that, but I want people to see her for the evil person, the anti-American that she is, and say, you know what? That is not something that should be tolerated. We sure shouldn't be giving her views. That's for sure. TFCS 5675 says, be faithful. God is separating the wheat from the chaff. I agree. Ryan Matta, as a traitor, pure and simple, he's openly and unapologetically pulling for Iran and actually getting giddy when talking about bad news. I'm going to pull up one of his tweets that I shared from yesterday in just a moment. And then thank you very much for that super chat, Kevin. We appreciate you. And then Shelly Broadway, $5. Thank you for that super chat. She didn't even have a question to ask or a comment to make.
Need the protection of U.S. Marines to be in Romania and decide that you want to drop off some Christmas gifts. Really, you just need an address to do that. But for some reason, this particular charity felt that they needed to team up with the U.S. Marines. I just want to point, no one's really recognized that. You don't need to do that. I can go do charity anywhere in Europe right now. Doesn't demand a partnership with the U.S. Marines. It's very strange. Then we have in 2014, 2015, Erica begins tweeting that she's a casting director or casting recruiter in Los Angeles. The same time, she's kind of trying to break into the industry herself, which we've shown. And I also want to say that during this time that she's trying to get involved in reality TV, we find her floating around Mark Burnett. Mark Burnett is also running Mark Burnett Productions. He's running Trump's Apprentice show. A lot of synergy happening around this time. I do believe that Erica knew Donald Trump before she ever met Charlie Kirk. I think that's honestly evident. And so it really makes you wonder if this kind of brings in Colvette, because Kairos Company is working with Mark Burnett via Johnny.
Kind of makes you wonder if this includes Colvette. Like, throw him in there because he's someone else that I hate. Like, why not just include Brigitte Macron while we're at it? Like, whoever I hate, I'm just going to attach to this narrative, no matter if it makes sense or not. I'm just going to
literally. So like, Google's free. It takes like 5 seconds to like look something up. So I just Googled, why would a toy charity partner with the Marines? Like, what are the benefits, right? And guess what? It gives you a whole breakdown of logistical expertise, public trust and credibility, volunteers and additional resources, mission alignment, authorized support and personnel. Like, it gives you a whole breakdown on why it's beneficial for charities to partner with the Marines specifically. Here she's going, why would they partner with the Marines? How is that going to help them? I don't know. Maybe like all of these things that are listed out for you, if you would just take 5 seconds to look it up.
It's nuts. Janet's 6474. I noticed a big change in Tucker after his attack in his bed. It's as simple as Satan using people for his purpose, including Candace. I think the whole attack in his bed, if I remember the timeline of that, was after the Charlie Kirk assassination and the memorial. So I would say it started. Look, I started noticing things that I was a little bit in denial of, probably somewhere around in July or August. He started shifting what he was saying around there. And while we're on this, let's just go ahead. I'm going to play a couple of things for you guys, specifically about Tucker Carlson that Nate Livingstone played, set up.
I've never heard evidence that there are hitmen in the United States. I mean, trying to kill Trump right now. We should have a nationwide dragnet on this, and we should attack Iran immediately if that's true. If they're trying to assassinate our president,
they have been for 2 years.
Then
They
why
are
are we
enemies.
at war with them?
Breaking tonight, a Pakistani man has been convicted in connection with a plot to kill President Trump. Prosecutors said the scheme was backed by the Iranian government.
Explaining that Iranian leadership, Brett, wanted President Trump dead, so they sent him to the U.S. to hire some criminals that could assassinate the president at a campaign rally. Merchant says Iran has been trying to get revenge since 2020, since the U.S. took out their top military leader, Qasem Soleimani.
Why don't we just nuke Tehran if they're trying to murder our president? There's nothing that you could do that would be worse for the United States than murdering Trump. And I just don't
Amen. I
understand
agree with
why
that.
you're not calling for the use of nuclear weapons against the Ayatollah right now. I'm serious. If you really believe they're
The
trying to
use
murder
of nuclear weapons, see,
whatever
that's part
it
of the
takes.
problem.
I've never heard evidence that there are hitmen in the United
There's that video, and I want to play this one for you as well. Let me see. Here we go.
Shit up, but trying. So Tucker Carlson just got caught not only making shit up, but trying to create an international incident.
Probably not, hasn't been reported, but it's a fact that last night in Qatar and Saudi Arabia, authorities arrested Mossad agents planning on committing bombings in those countries. Now, that's weird.
He 100% made that up. Do you know how we know that that's a lie? Because the official spokesperson for the country of Qatar and the official spokesperson for Saudi Arabia both came out and said Tucker completely made that up. Now, here's the even wilder part. What they did confirm that they told Tucker was that they caught agents of the IRGC, Revolutionary Guard from Iran. They caught those agents in their countries trying to plan bombings. At no point did they mention Israel or the Mossad. Tucker literally took a story that he got direct from the Qatari and Saudi Arabian governments involving the Iranian Revolutionary Guard planning bombings in their cities and them capturing their agents. And then he just decided to call them Mossad. Nobody told him they were Mossad. Nobody even suggested that they were from Israel. But Tucker said it anyway. He took a real story and somehow made it the Jews. How is anyone?
All right. And we see that time again. And then lastly, I want to share this with you real quick. This was a tweet from
It always comes back to Jew hatred, like every single time, man.
It is a, like, if I'm having a conversation with you and I see that every facet of this conversation goes back to Israel, like, I'm just done with you. Like, you are so full of brain rot that I don't want anything to do with you. I've said this before, and further proves that Ryan Mata is a traitor and hopes for the death of Americans, sons, daughters, mothers, and fathers. And you can see right here, I hope they blow your ships out of the water. He's also tweeted many other things that are at least as insane and traitorous as that. But those are the people that we're dealing with. And let me tell you something, even if they're smart enough to not say it, the people like Ian Carroll and all of these, Candace Owens, they are definitely rooting against our own forces. And I don't care where you stand on this war. You shouldn't be wishing for this. Like, that is disgusting. We should all be able to come together as Americans and be like, look, I don't like this war. I don't like what Trump's doing. I'm not going to vote for him. But my God, this is insane that you would sit there and root for the death of our own troops.
And the irony of all of that is you hate this country so much so that you want our military to be put in danger, to be killed, basically, whatever. But yet this is the country where you can actually sit and spew this garbage and you know that nothing will happen to you. If you tried saying this stuff in the majority of other places, you would have massive repercussions for doing so, which again is the biggest irony out of it all.
I mean, exactly. It doesn't make any sense. And like the fact that there's no blowback from that, insane to me. Absolutely insane. All right, let's muscle through some more of this.
It's very weird around this time frame, but it's this next little time frame that I want to get to you guys on. All right, so I'll tell you how I got this information. I had received a tip a while ago saying, "Hey, you know, their next model management in New York City, Faith Cates, who was the co-founder of it, had to step down because of her involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. She's like in his emails like 4,000 times, even after he got arrested for pedophilia. She's like, I will never betray you. I will never, ever betray you. Like, you know, I've got your back to the end. She was very close. I mean, look, she's inviting him here in this email to her son's bar mitzvah. And this person said, just so you know, Erica was involved with Next Model Management, right? So this is a tip. And this person did not work with Next Model Management. So I was like, okay, tip, let's see where it leads, you know, we're kind of investigating things. And I kind of reach into some old contact cards. I'm going, that would be very curious because Next Model Management apparently had tons of Eastern European girls all around the office. And like I said, you can look more into the Faith Cates thing, but it's not great. It's not great. The relationship that Faith Cates had with Jeffrey Epstein, Eastern European models all around Next Model Management Office. He was helping this model agency in particular. And so I decided to see if I could get some more people to verify that Erica was involved. What was she doing? Was she modeling? No. Well, I was able to confirm it, not just once, not twice, 3 times, 4 times with people with direct knowledge that Erica Kirk was multiple times taking meetings at Next Model Management and dealing with the people like the suits that would surround Faith Cates, people like Jeffrey Epstein. Now, they did not say they saw her meeting with Jeffrey Epstein, but they said essentially Jeffrey Epstein was always there because he was so close with Faith. This cannot.
What evidence do we have of this other than you saying that some people told you this? Like, and there's a 1,000 plausible explanations as to why that could even be true, and it still not be nefarious, criminal, or anything else.
Like, we know that she worked in modeling. I don't know, like, whether she had an agency at one point but like, to be signed by an agency, that's multiple meetings because you're sitting down going over contracts, you're discussing money, all of those things. Yeah, if you're potentially looking at signing on to a agency and having them represent you, that's going to include multiple meetings to discuss that partnership, right? Because Epstein may have been somewhere in the building, like, good, again, like, these leaps are the stretch that we're making here is so ridiculous.
Yeah, according to Grok, there's no credible evidence. Recent online speculation from Candace Owens content in March 2026 alleges Erica Kirk had a high-level meetings or unspecified involvement. Again, high-level meetings, unspecified. It sounds a lot like Fort Huachuca. I wonder if she called Mitch Snow and he could verify that he saw her at Next Model Agency Management. Tied to his co-founder, Faith Cates documented friendly emails with Jeffrey Epstein. These claims appear to stem from conspiracy-oriented narratives linking conservative figures like Epstein networks via modeling, pageant industries. Unverified tips or hunches mentioned in Owens' discussion. No primary evidence, no context, nothing supports her employment or formal affiliation with Next. And by the way, any model agency is going to have ties to Eastern European models.
Yeah. Hello, Melania Trump, literally herself, was an Eastern European model. Like, that's a region that, like, a lot of girls get into it from that part of the world. And they're beautiful. So
I was in charge of finding models. The first place that I would go to would be Eastern European.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Europe,
like
Europe. I mean, my wife would not allow that, and I would be murdered if I went. But that is where I would go. All right.
Yeah, you can go through their emails. They're very close. So he would sometimes come in and.
What were you saying?
I just, again, like, even if she was taking meetings with him, again, to maybe consider a contract, it doesn't look like she ever actually signed a contract with him. So unless she's going to produce some type of documentation saying that she officially signed on with this agency, who cares? Like, what are we doing right now?
Zero evidence, like every other material claim that she made.
He would take a meeting. And so he would just kind of, when you're friends with someone, I'm going to take an office, and nobody knew what the context of these meetings were. They are saying that in meetings like that, meaning Erica was not there because of a modeling contract or because they don't know why she was there. They don't know why Erica was in that same category of suits, right? Of just like suits, and they were not to ask questions, and Erica is there and she's taking meetings at Next Model Management. So now, feeling 100% certain that this information was real, like I said, confirming it 4 ways, I decided to go out and ask Erica what she was doing there. Because if people with intimate knowledge of the situation don't know what she was doing there, that's not great, right? What are the chances? What does Erica have to do with Next Model Management? What is she doing there? And I went out to her, and I, of course, copied the spokesperson, Andrew Colbert, and I said, what specifically were you doing at Next Model Management in New York City? What's up?
Okay, I'm just going to make a prediction here. No response, or that was forwarded to her lawyer.
What do you do? Did you run into Epstein? Like, I just want to know, like, what is your relationship with Faith? How about that? Give me the context of this.
where's
Crickets.
the email? Like,
feel
she
like that would
could
be a
literally
very
put it on the
easy.
screen, but she's not going to.
No. Surprise, crickets. Oh, so weird. So weird. Because no matter what Erica would say, she would twist it into something that is, again, she would twist it. Because she's.
I don't know why she keeps saying that she's reaching out to them. Like, they're not going to talk to you. They have been advised by probably every attorney, every legal anybody. Like, do not talk to this individual, especially if they are going to consider any type of legal action whatsoever. It would not be in their best interest to communicate with her at all.
Yeah, like the homeless people Erica walks by is like, hey, give me some money. And by the way, if I was you, I wouldn't be talking to that chick. I'm just saying.
Email to answer one question. What is the context of your relationship with Next Model Management? We've now confirmed that you were taking meetings here. What was the nature of those meetings? And I mentioned, she's obviously had a falling out she had to step down because of the Epstein emails, and she retired. She said it's like the nice way of, I'm deciding to retire. And nothing. Wouldn't you just answer that instantly? Like if someone just emailed me and said, what is the context? You're ASU, you got Romania going on, at this modeling agency. And they said like there were constantly Eastern European models all over the office. I mean, like it was just everywhere. And Epstein would just come all the time. Like, this was his friend. Like, why wouldn't he come into his friend's office? Wouldn't you like rank that really high in terms of just giving a comment and being like, oh, I was there for, I don't know what would be an appropriate answer. I literally don't know what would be appropriate answer. I don't know why I should be there, but wouldn't you just offer that answer if there was a good answer?
I don't know, guys. Like, why wouldn't you just respond to that? I mean, like, why wouldn't you just respond to that email? I don't know, because they're probably going to sue you. And so, no, they're not going to talk to you, Candace. Like, this is not hard. Like, they are done speaking to you. They tried speaking to you. They tried going that route. They tried having a face-to-face meeting with you to work all this out. And you doubled down and went absolutely ape shit and made everything 10 times worse. So like, no, they're done speaking with you. The time for speaking has passed. It is over, and they are not talking to you anymore. I don't know why she's like acting like she's so shocked by this. Like, dirt.
I find that to be very strange, especially when we now add in the fact, going back to the way that she's dancing around Epstein, pageant world, Romania. ASU. Now we have Next Model Management specifically, and real estate. We can't get an answer on that. Eric.
All right. I realize now that I was not, my mic was muted. I was coughing earlier. So anyways, But this is what I was saying, folks, and somehow I took her off the stage. But what I was saying is that there is clearly a direct link between Jeffrey Epstein and John Mappin. And we see everything that's going on here. He was in his little back book. So there is a much clearer link between Jeffrey Epstein and Candace Owens indirectly through John Mappin than there was ever sort of any sort of link with Erica Kirk and Jeffrey Epstein. But I digress.
Funny how that works.
It projection every single time. That is what happens with her every time. Get back to this.
Oh, great. Now we can't hear Candace. What in the world is going on?
Are you not hearing Candace?
Mm-mm.
So
we couldn't hear you, but we could hear her. And now I can hear you, but we can't hear her. So I don't know what is going on, but.
I don't know. How about now?
Nope. We might have to close it out and reopen it. I don't know.
All right. You guys bear with me. Twist balloons into animals or something while I'm doing this.
What's the number of where you're at on her stream?
I'll look at it real quick. Hold on.
Yeah.
Let me pull it back up.
YouTube hates us.
Yeah, by the way, for those of you who watched my live stream last night, that got demonetized because I was mean to Islam.
Oh,
right.
Gosh.
Let me just make sure. We're at 2714 over there. Can you hear that?
No.
What the heck? All right, folks, bear with us through the technical difficulties here.
They're in the chat saying that they don't want to hear her anyway.
Hold on.
Real estate deals that Erica completed in New York. And real estate agents are reaching out to me saying, you can't just get a license and work for Corcoran. That's not how the real.
Are you guys hearing her now? I can hear her. Hold on. Oh, you know what? I know what happened. Let me see. Because my phone rang, it switched audio outputs. I bet. No, that's in stereo. Lisa, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay.
Real estate world works. I guess they have certain
Are you hearing that? No? Lisa?
requirements like this.
I can hear you.
What the heck?
I don't know. Is it just me maybe? Can the people in the chat hear Candace?
All right. Everybody is hearing it. They're saying, all right, let me see.
All right. Should I go out
This
of
is
the link
backdoor
and come back in maybe?
Yeah,
Maybe
go
it's
out and come back in.
Stuff.
Okay.
Somebody just made that happen for her. And there does, like I said, does not appear to be any record of her having completed that. But we do then learn via Jeffrey Epstein's emails that the president of the Corcoran Group is actually Linda Rothschild. And Jeffrey Epstein is working directly for the Rothschilds. He himself is saying that Corcoran Real Estate Group is all over his emails. Okay. It says it right there. Someone read a background on Linda Rothschild. It has all of her different names that she uses and also has her listed as the president of the Corcoran Group. What was Erica doing for the Corcoran Group? Who got her that job? Who recalls sitting with Erica for her real estate license? Do you do it online? I don't know. I'm ignorant about real estate.
Can you hear it now, Lisa?
Yep, we're good now.
License. I will say that. But I do know that there is a general understanding that if you want to move money, real estate is a very good way to do that. It's a very good way to do that. It's a good cover if you're trying to move money. Real estate's a very productive means to do that. And I am starting to have just how many times can her life path keep intersecting with Jeffrey Epstein before it's weird? Her relationship with Trump just like here, something is not feeling right. Jeffrey, we got him gaslighting us. We got Andrew Colvett. We got this meeting at the White House that they didn't brag about. They love the photos. They love the photo ops. They're there the evening before, and they're in the West Wing. Yeah, they met with someone very important about like, hey, can't you just come out and say what you were meeting about? What was the context of that meeting? I would like to know. I mean, you guys are.
How is that any of your business? It's none of your damn business, woman. Oh, I would like to know. Who cares what you would like to know?
You guys are saying everything else. Something is not right. That's almost redundant at this point. The fact that something is not right with Erica, but I would like an answer as to what specifically Erica was doing, sitting down in offices with suits at the next model management company. I think that's a very simple question to ask. There may be a very simple answer. We will see. We'll be right back after a brief break. All right, you guys, thanks to you last year, Preborn.
All right, we're going to pause that, which, by the way, I got a couple of emails because Preborn was emailing me for donations. And it actually wasn't me. I can't take credit for this. My wife went off on them and sent them email.
Yep.
Let me see if I can find this, actually. Let me pull this up.
I'm massively pro-life, and I will not support Preborn over them being one of the #1 sponsors of Candace Owens. So the fact that they have not pulled sponsorship from her is absolutely disgusting behavior.
I couldn't agree more. I'm going to upload these, and I will get to them in a second. And I'll show them to you. I would highly suggest, I'll just read them real quick. They're not that long, not necessarily worth showing. So my wife said, hey, look, we're not going to support you as long as you're airing things with Candace Owens. I'm not doing it. And the response was, thank you for your email and sharing your concerns with us. We value all have taken time to say, and I will pass this along to leadership on your benefit. I personally and Preborn do not agree with Candace and all her beliefs. While we do not share the same beliefs as her and many others who advertise for us, we do share the belief that life begins at conception. While Miss Owens may not share all of our beliefs, continues to go on. However, we are currently in a legal contract with Ms. Owens and her teams that is not up for renewal until the spring. Our leadership team is evaluating how to proceed with her contract when her contract is up, as we do not agree with much of what is going on with her and her team. Until this contract is up, we will still be advertising with them. While Ms. Owens may not share all of our beliefs, the majority of her listeners do, because we want to reach more people and grow to be able to save more babies. However, we're currently in legal contract with Ms. Owens and her team is not. Anyways, so she just kind of repeats that portion. So I would highly suggest that you send a email to any of her sponsors, because if this is a Christian organization, they should not be getting involved with this. This is lies, slander, false witness, destroying another Christian organization. Couldn't be more wrong, in my opinion.
I mean, I understand contracts and that there's like legal stuff. Like I get that, but sometimes I also feel like they just use that as an excuse. So it's hard to know like what is true there and what is them just trying to placate people, because I'm sure they're getting a lot of pushback and they just want people to go away, right?
Yeah. No, look, I don't doubt that they get a lot of donations because they're advertising on Candace Owens show. She gets lots of views. I'm sure it's very effective. That being said, the juice ain't worth the squeeze, folks. Like, you shouldn't be compromising your Christian beliefs just to get donations for your cause. Like, You can't do both.
Your soul
Stephen-
should matter more. Yeah.
Exactly. Steve Gransbury, 9503. Thank you, buddy. Sad fact, with population, some will love the crazy or cruel. Iran as example. Candy Tucker will have followers. Our job is to vote despite their lies. And it's your job to counter their lies. That's the job of every American citizen. I really do believe, and especially if you're a Christian. Could be Qatar has something on Tucker and he's being blackmailed to be an Islam shill, or they could have set him up. Maybe. Who knows? It's all speculation on that side.
Entire Erica story feels like, as I refer to on the show, as the Midas touch. Somebody just pulling her through the ranks at all times. I don't know if she's even smart, but they're telling us that she's like the brightest in the entire world and that she's doing it all. And no one can even confirm that she did graduate summa cum laude from ASU. But by the way, she has since removed that from her bio. She is slated to speak at Hillsdale College, and the students have all messaged me about it because they don't want her there. And they similarly just feel like she's just being hoisted upon them. And you just go, the woman I'm speaking to, like that we're listening rather to her speak, is not a super genius. You didn't have to guess whether Charlie Kirk was a genius. You know what I mean? But they're just like, she is. She's so qualified, hyper qualified. We can't show you where on the resume where she's qualified or how you go from like modeling agencies and dating reality shows and pageantry to where she is now, the Department of Defense. No one can explain that, and they don't even care to. It's giving Jeffrey Epstein when he just like becomes a math teacher and someone's pulling him from the ranks, and that someone is Bill Barr, right? Who gives him that job because he's running that school. Something's just really weird about everything. And I also wanted to tell you, this is kind of happening on X right now. Turning Point tried to remove it from the podcast. They did actually remove it from the podcast, but not before the internet grabbed it. It's this clip of Blake Neff. He's one of my favorite characters. Because he
Except
always
Blake
just says too
defended it
much and it's
today.
never good. And
So-
Blake Neff.
Blake what?
Blake defended it today. I reposted it too. It's what Baron Coleman put out today. It's Blake Neff saying a quote from Erica. Supposedly she said this, that like, you know, if Charlie could come back tomorrow to do all these things with his kids, walk his daughter down the aisle, all of that, he still wouldn't do it because being with Jesus is the most important thing. And Erica also said, like, I wouldn't want him to do that. He's in the presence of Jesus, and that's more important than anything else. And so, and of course, everyone's in Baron's comments, and they're like, who says something like that? And I'm like, Christians, we say stuff like that literally all the time. This is our belief that Jesus comes before anything else. He comes before your spouse. He comes before your children, before your job, because guess who gave you all of those things? Jesus. And he can also take all of those things away. Like, at the end of the day, the ultimate goal for the Christian is to stand in the presence of Jesus himself, right? That is our ultimate goal whenever he decides that our time on this earth is up. And they're, of course, turning this into some kind of like, who would say that they wouldn't want their husband to come back tomorrow? I'm like, a Christian would say that. But yeah, she's saying that it was removed from the podcast. And I'm like, I don't think it's been removed from the podcast because Blake literally retweeted Baron and he expanded on the comment. And he was like, yeah, this is not a bad comment. If you're a Christian, you would understand the comment.
Exactly. And, you know, for her to say something about the Midas touch, like, oh, no, that's called hard work and God blessing your life for doing the things that you're supposed to be doing. She is extremely industrious. She's been extremely successful in everything that she's done. And just Kelly here is saying, Candace is nothing but jealous because
Insanely.
I could just tell from a half-assed way that she does this entire podcast and the information that she provides, the fact that she's never went to UVU, she's never left her butt from that chair. And she's lazy. I think if anyone has had the Midas touch, I think the amount of work Candace has actually done and the rewards that she's gotten with it are completely disproportionate. I don't think she's hardly done anything. And now she's sitting here a multimillionaire because she's making up fables and defaming and attempting to destroy someone's life, but it's just not working.
is explained on Charlie Kirk's show earlier today that Erica says that Charlie, if he had a chance, if he had a choice, he would stay dead. Take it away, Blake Neff.
Blake, any thoughts?
You know, it's Erica said that if Charlie was given the choice to undo what happened and come back, he wouldn't. She thought because of what was unleashed by it.
They've since, we tried to get like the full clip, but they've since removed that. And Blake is like, that's just because of the faith revolution. And like, he would be so happy to see that people are being driven toward churches that he would pick. If he was in heaven and given, he would just say, I'm just going to stay here and I'm going to let my kids grow up without a father and really without a mother, because everything seems to be going according to some more divine plan. And Erica has taken my spot everywhere. Okay, let's talk about it. Let's actually talk about September 8th, because I now feel like now that we've learned more about Erica, the Fort Huachuca story, I'm leaning towards Mitch. Allegedly, Erica, he saw her on September 8th. Fort Huachuca, it caused mass panic. They spent tons of money getting people to attack me. And that now, with everything we know about the way Erica moves, didn't really know in the beginning how to feel. But I'd like to add, I guess, just some more data points to September 8th. Now, remember, Erica's claim before they sent me a cease and desist was that she was making dinner for Charlie that night, but no one else has been able to independently confirm that. Frank Turek does make the claim that Charlie had dinner with his family, but he doesn't mention Erica. He doesn't say his wife. And I find that to be interesting because I think Frank...
What? What?
Why would his
stretch?
Why would his wife not be included in the statement, having dinner with my family? What do you think that means?
Oh my God. Like, wouldn't you think it's weird if I was said, you know what? Hey, I'm going to go have dinner with my family and my wife. Like, why would you need to include that? That is the most dumb thing. It's actually not. It's one of the dumbest things that's ever come out of her mouth. But
I'm going to go have dinner with my family. Oh, and my kids will be there too. Like yeah, exactly. You'd be like, okay. Like, that's a really weird way to say that, but like, go for it, man. But like, I'm just, oh my God. This woman claims to be a Christian, which is what is absolutely mind-blowing to me. How do you claim
to have
to
a
be
brain? And that's mind-blowing to me.
Yeah,
Because
that
you
too.
sit
But
there and say, she said she was going to have, or Frank Turek said that he had dinner with his family, but he didn't include his wife. He didn't mention her at all. Like, this is bizarro world. This just tells you what kind of family interaction and dynamic she actually has at her house. I think that is clear to me. Just like the crazy thing about, kids never wake up. They're sleep trained. Like, what weirdo kids do you have? Like, what kind of kids, like, what kind of situation is taking place in your house to where your kids don't wake up? Kids always wake up. I've raised 4 of them. Like,
yeah, well, when you have maids, you have personal chefs, you have personal trainers, you have nannies, you have all these people to do all this stuff for you, that's going to shape how you view this stuff. And it's very clear that she views it from a very privileged, elite perspective that the majority of us, again, we don't live like that. So
what she's really saying is, the way that she would say that is like, I'm going to go have dinner with my family and George. That's what
more like, and George might be there because it seems like he maybe isn't a lot of the times, but I don't know that I would want to hang out with her most of the time either, honestly. But
Turek is actually a smarter person involved in this. He hasn't made the same mistakes as everybody else. He's he says just enough. So this could just as easily mean that Charlie had dinner with the kids. That's the vibe that I get from September 8th. We're going to go through this timeline, is that Charlie was the parent that night. Listen to what Frank Turek.
No, that's the narrative that you have to create. You have to eject Erica out of this narrative for your own benefit. And it is the most disgusting, dishonest, disingenuous thing you could possibly do, just so that you can put Erica at Fort Huachuca. It's so dumb, so dishonest.
Had to say.
You know, the last walk we went on, Megan, was Monday night. So the terrible day was Wednesday. And so we spent some time Monday, and then we both went to dinner. He wanted to have dinner with the family, he's a family man. So he said, hey, can you come back at about 8? We'll go on a walk. I said, yeah, okay. So I came back down at 8, and I texted him. I said, okay, I'm about here. He said, coming out. And then a minute later, he said, shortly, Gigi just got up. So he was obviously taking care of the baby, taking care of his daughter, because that's the kind of person he was. And then we went on this long walk, and there were 2 major issues that kept coming up that he wanted to be better at.
So we received an email which made this even more interesting. I don't even know how I missed this, but they said, Candace, Charlie on September 8th was very obviously watching the Bears football game. He was a massive Chicago Bears fan. Everybody knows that. And it was like kind of always this feature on his show of him being upset with the chronic upsets that comes apparently with being a Chicago Bears fan. And he recounted with remarkable detail, at least, and this is, again, I'm happy to yield and err on the side of caution, but I think we can confidently state that Charlie definitively watched the second half of that game glued to his screen. Take a listen to Charlie discussing the Bears game on September 8th.
Blake is such a Packers fan. He said, what should we talk about? Oh, talk about the Bears. I'm not talking about the Bears, okay? You see, I even put in my group chat, I said, the Bears are winning by 14 points. This is a very strange thing. I don't know how to handle it. The Bears put on a masterclass, one of the worst coach games in the history of football. It was so bad. They challenge in the second. You never do this in the second half. You should be smacked across the face. He challenged what was not even a close call of Noah Sewell, with a fumble. What happens when you lose a challenge? You lose a timeout. So you lose a timeout, you need to stop the clock. And they only have 2 timeouts left, and they can't do that. And then some rocket scientist on the Bears, I'm screaming at my TV. I woke up everyone. They decide, well, we have to kick the ball, and it was like 2 minutes and 2 seconds left, okay? And they're down by 3 points. 2 minutes, 2 seconds left. So with 2 minutes and 2 seconds left, you have to make sure that the ball either goes out of bounds or that you kick it off so that they can't do a turn. You only have 1 timeout left. Why does that matter? Well, because then the 2-minute warning stops the clock, and that is a built-in timeout for when the Vikings run the ball inevitably. What do? They allow the Vikings to return the ball. They're basically ending the game.
I don't think there's any question that Charlie watched the second half of that game, and he says he was screaming at his TV, okay? So we are now able to tighten up that schedule on September 8th. I'm going to show you guys that, what we have here going on. First and foremost, I do want to note that article appears in the Jezebel.com regarding the witches cursed placed on Charlie's life. That was at 9:49 a.m. All of this is in Arizona time, just to be clear. 9:49 a.m. that article appears in Jezebel regarding a witch's curse that was placed on Charlie. Exactly 1 hour later, to the minute, Erica breaks her years-long Twitter silence, and she tweets out a Bible verse, Ephesians, for by grace you have been saved through faith. Okay. At 10 o'clock a.m., Charlie appears from his home studio live on Charlie Kirk. That is what, that's a different episode, not the one that we just watched. At 10:45 a.m., Lori Franz-Fay has an appointment at the clinic, and Charlie allegedly meets up with her, accompanies her. These appointments apparently run for an hour. So Charlie and Lori are together. From 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock p.m., Charlie appears from his home studio on the Ingram angle. There was that notorious picture going around where Charlie looked angry, like he was looking off to the side. Well, he's got to be looking at Frank Turek. I would suspect, based on this timeline, that Frank Turek was with him. That would track that because it's getting tight now. The game is about to kick off. Erica's her alibi is going to be she arrived home. And so, you guys, everyone investigating this should now copy this timeline. I think Frank Turek was with Charlie. I'm not saying Charlie was angry at Frank, but I still don't believe Frank's story that they went on a walk to talk about pointers about how Charlie would debate and college. I never bought that he was just suddenly in need of so much debate help. I think there was something going on. There was some sort of crisis that required Charlie speaking to a rabbi, a pastor, and a priest within 48 hours. I think that's a fair assumption to make.
How is that a fair assumption? That's just a crazy assumption. Like, you've just created a whole narrative with no evidence whatsoever, and you've made it up in your mind based off a picture that's been moved, and just this like one speculative scenario to the next, to the next, to the next, and none of it makes sense. None of it makes sense. It's not a fair assumption. It's a stupid assumption, actually.
So in this breakdown, when she showed the close-up Zoom version, so it literally says that Erica texts Charlie that she is like she had just gotten home. It says she texts Charlie that she's parking her car.
Yep.
It says he texts her asking when dinner is going to be ready, even though they're in close quarters.
Yep.
Then it says that when dinner is ready, she texts him again saying that dinner is ready, even though when they're in close quarters. She's trying to make it out like there's like an argument or like tension between them. Bro, I text my husband all the time when he's in the living room and I'm back in our bedroom. Like this is normal couple stuff. Also, she right after that mentions that Charlie was filming in his studio. So if he is filming in his studio, yes, your wife is going to text you because she knows that you're filming on camera. And so she's going to say, hey, dinner's ready. She's not just going to walk in there and be like, dinner's ready, even though you're clearly filming on camera. Like, it's just, again, like she puts these things in there and then she literally she counter acts what she just says. Like yeah.
Well, and on top of that, like, my wife texts me from the next room all the time. Like, she'll be in the
all the
bedroom
time
doing something. Like, who cares? But here's what's really interesting about this, that I don't think she's ever really talked about, and I could be wrong on this, but at 5:24 p.m., Erica arrives home per her alibi given to me. Understand, this is on September 8th, folks. September 8th. So this is around the time that she's allegedly being seen at Fort Huachuca. Erica gave her an alibi, which probably means she showed her the text. I don't know if that's true or not, but I think that's fair to assume. But anyways, gave her alibi. She allegedly texts Charlie saying she is parking the car. Charlie will allegedly text Erica and ask what dinner time is, despite being in close quarters. Erica will text Charlie that dinner is ready. Per his show, Charlie Kirk discusses watching the Bears, challenging for all the stuff, right, with the Bears. And you can't nail down that time. We don't know if he recorded that football game. We don't know when he actually watched that, if he watched it live or something else. So there's all kinds of holes. But most importantly here is there's a clear interaction with Charlie Kirk and Erica Kirk at the time she's saying that she's allegedly at Fort Huachuca.
Well, and then down there on the bottom, she has the whole land. What does it say? Lands at Colorado Springs or leaves Colorado Springs for Tucson on the ground for less than 5 hours. So I can't see the rest of it. It's really tiny.
It takes off at 4:19 local before turning off his transponder at 4:32 to go to Fort Huachuca airspace. So this is something completely separate. This is the Baron Coleman planes nonsense. This is these are checking out transponders and trying to link it directly to Erica Kirk and or Charlie Kirk. Just.
But isn't there a whole thing that this supposedly happened the day before Charlie was killed, which he died on September 10th. This is supposedly September 8th. So this is 2 days.
2 days prior to, which is when Mitch Snow actually said that he saw Erica Kirk at the hotel. Now, this is at 5:41 p.m., 6 p.m. Erica will text Charlie that dinner is ready. Fort Huachuca is like 3 hours away.
Yeah, it's 3. Yeah, from if I put it in my phone right now, because I'm in Phoenix. It's like a good 3 hours from where we're at.
Yeah.
You're not getting down there easily. We'll just say that.
Mo3KLG, thank you for the super tip, Mo. Can you share the email for preborn? Are you asking for the email address or the actual email that I was writing? Either way, I'll share the email address. I have to pull it up. My wife will probably have it. I'm gonna yell at her, tell her to bring it to me or text it to me. Changing Pure Talk to Patriot Mobile because of TC and Candace Owens. The pause is a perfect pick. I don't know which one you're talking about, but
yeah. So from where I'm at in Phoenix, which Charlie and Erica would have been in Scottsdale, so they're actually a little bit further north from where I am. It says that I am 3 hours and 4 minutes from Fort Huachuca, from where I'm at right now. Charlie and Erica add an additional like 30 minutes to that. So yeah, about 3.5 hours, give or take, to get down there. It's like by the border, guys. It's literally almost into Mexico. Like if you know where Fort Huachuca is, it's basically Mexico.
It's where Joint Task Border is. So I mean, Joint Task Force border is. So I mean, that just tells you what's up. When Trump gets a gut full of Candace slandering his friend's widow and a lady he's fond of, Candace will get Trump's ire, and I'm here for it. I don't know. Like I think that I think Trump is fully aware of what's going on with Candace. I don't think he wants to give her any recognition personally. Candace is the definition of takes one to know one. Indeed. Why hasn't she addressed Tracy Martin? She doesn't want to. Tracy's a lot more credible than she is. That's why. Jay Witt, Candace Owens has Petri dish kids serial mom. I wouldn't. But I thought toddlers didn't wake up. Exactly. They're sleep trained.
Not in Candyland.
Erica, and again, Frank has never.
What's that?
I said not in Candyland. They don't.
No.
Said these portions about dinner. He says dinner with the family. But Erica will allege that she arrives home at 5:24. And then at 5:41, Charlie is allegedly, as she's coming up, she's already upstairs. Charlie then's allegedly going to text her and ask her what time dinner is, despite being in close quarters. Erica is then, because it's a very small apartment, wake Gigi up by opening a fridge in the middle of the night. Charlie is then going to text Erica and ask, like I said, what time dinner is. And then Erica is going to text Charlie that dinner is ready. So this is a fast dinner. I have to fit in everything. And then you can kind of see we've gone through and went back to the game, followed people's tweets of when exactly Noah Sewell forced a fumble on TJ. That's what he's talking about there. And you can see that this timeline is starting to tighten up. So I wanted to share this with you because I have a strong inkling, and it is not a fact, but it is a strong inkling that Charlie was at home alone with the kids. That is why when he woke Gigi up, it would track that he went to have dinner with his kids and his quote unquote family. And that is why when he was shouting at the TV, which would in fact wake a toddler up around, when is he shouting at the challenge around 7:16, that he then screaming at the game, whenever Gigi wakes up, he then tells Frank, hold up, because the Chicago game is on, which Frank hasn't mentioned that, which I find to be interesting. Might be a talking point of why he was running late. But this is it's getting interesting. It's definitely getting interesting. That game ended at 8:30, so he definitely was not walking with Charlie at 8 o'clock because he is very clear that he was screaming. And then he comes down a little bit late. Charlie is then going to be seen at 9 o'clock walking with his bodyguard Heath and accompanied by a tall man who is not Frank Turek. So locals did not see Frank Turek on this walk with Charlie. They did see Charlie on a walk. He stopped. He spoke with his neighbor for a few minutes about his upcoming tour, said hello to the dog. Yeah. My suspicion is Frank was there for some reason. It's not, you don't just like sort of invite a pastor over and then say, come back. And there's something going on. There's something going on. And I think Frank would know the answer. I think
they were personal friends.
Yeah. Do we know when Charlie got back from his trip over to Asia? When he went to South Korea and Japan and all of that?
It was like September.
It was like just a day or two before this, right?
Yeah, it's like September. I do have that timeline somewhere for sure. It's
yeah.
like
So if he would have just, he was gone. That was a 2-week overseas trip. He's going to all these countries and whatever. Are you honestly telling me, well, I guess in her world where she thinks that they're fighting and apparently getting a divorce, which is ridiculous. But in the like normal world, okay, if my husband had been gone on a 2-week overseas trip and he had just gotten back like a day or two before that, I am not going 3 hours south. Like, yes, I would be there to have dinner with him. And she's like, my feeling is that he's there with the kids by himself. Never mind that he just got home from traveling internationally. Like, he's going to want to spend time with his family, who he has not seen in 2 weeks. Like, None of this makes sense, bro.
Well, her answer to that would be that they weren't in a good relationship and she would be happy to get away from him. I mean, that's essentially what's being alleged here. So I'm with you. I think it's completely ludicrous. Mo says, but I thought toddlers didn't wake up. Correct. Mama's Beauty says Charlie was on the air with Laura Ingraham on the 8th between 7 and 8 p.m. from his home office. I watched live. I'll look that up.
I think that is right. I've heard people talk about that. So if that's the case, then he would have been watching maybe parts of the game and maybe pausing it and then watch the rest of it like after it had already aired. I mean, who knows? He could have recorded it. We don't know.
Yeah, he could have recorded it and watched it at 11 o'clock at night. I mean, who knows? Like, it's so ridiculous. Well, let me look that up. I wasn't aware of a Laura Ingraham on the 8th.
But if he was on air and filming in his office, that also makes sense on why they were texting each other back and forth versus her just going in there talking to him because she knew that he was live on the news. So,
I mean, my wife will literally text me from the other room where literally if I just said, "Hey, babe," like at that level, she would hear me, but I don't know. She texts me. And a lot of people do.
I do that all the time. I'll be like, "Hey, can you bring me blah, blah, blah?" And he'll be like, "Yes."
I think Frank could answer, by the way. I will get an email out to him as to whether or not he was the person that was in Charlie's studio when he looks off to the left before the Laura Ingraham hit. And I think Frank could actually answer whether or not Erica was home. It's a yes or no question. Was Erica home? Did you see Erica? Nobody yet. And I will keep putting out an APB for September 8th for Erica Kirk. No one can confirm seeing her anywhere. And she was very well known in this neighborhood. Charlie's entire family is well known. People will tell me when they see the kids, who they saw the kids with, that they saw the kids with Tracy Martin's husband. I mean, you could say any person they know because Charlie Kirk was a celebrity. He was a fixture. So they knew his family, they knew his kids. And no one can confirm that they saw Eric Kirk on the 8th. And I'm troubled by that. Even anywhere. When they went to go pick up the food from the grocery store. I don't know. Given how much she pathologically lies, and given how aggressive the campaign was when we merely mentioned Fort Huachuca, and I had not yet dropped the fact that he thought he saw Erica. We were actually holding that back. And then she does this tour and gets like real aggressive and stop. My vibes, my spidey senses are telling me that Erica was not there on the 8th. I find her pretending not to understand the instructions or the middle person, what we're trying to get to confirm that
I'm the middle person for those that you don't know.
This text correspondence really took place between her and Charlie and not her and somebody else or two other people. I don't buy it. I don't buy anything really that Erica says. She lies a lot. And I think we've proven that thus far. Anyway, we'll take a break here and I'll answer some of your questions. All right, you guys.
All right. So I just wanted to address that. Yes, according to Grok, the Ingraham Angle airs between 10 p.m., 7 p.m. Pacific on Fox News. For September 8th, 2025, episode featuring Charlie Kirk segment, it therefore aired live at 10 p.m. Eastern time, which would indeed be 7 p.m. Pacific and or Arizona time. That wasn't in her handy dandy timeline. I didn't see that there. Another hit he did with Fox. I can't think of his name right now. I believe it was also on the 8th, but I'll look that up in a second. Anyways, so you are correct, Mama's Beauty. You are correct. Look at that. She's a mama sleuth. Much better than the ones on Candace's channel.
Well, I mean, she can't put that into the timeline because that takes away from the whole, they're fighting with each other, which is why they're texting, even though he's in his office and he's clearly working. But that's too much of an explanation. So we have to leave things out.
More importantly, it takes away from the idea that he's playing daddy daycare.
Yeah, that too. Not watching his children while he's live on the news. There's no way.
Oh, snap. We solved it.
Oh my gosh.
For the people who came out of the gate defending her Yeah, they were like, okay, she's a grieving widow, and it's like she's a grieving widow, and then you kind of have to like put your head down and be like, okay, she really is grieving differently.
No, what you have to do is be a sociopath, like you, Candace. You have to be a sociopath to not even think of that because you didn't, not once.
Differently, like with the Department of Defense and just taking her husband's place. That's why you should never rush to defend something that you know is wrong, right? Because eventually it's going to catch up with you. Everyone knew it was wrong. Everyone knew the way she was moving wasn't right. It's better to actually stay quiet if you're not sure, which was me. I was like, I'm going to be quiet. I just don't want to feel the way that I feel.
She was going to be quiet without any information whatsoever. She's posted. She's talking about the Mitch Snow story, and now she's backtracking, even trying to say, "Oh, I didn't think this was real. I wasn't 100% sure." What she prefaced that entire show with, "This is so real that the U.S. military is going to have to come out and admit they were part of the conspiracy to kill Charlie Kirk." And throughout that episode, and throughout the episode where she actually has Mitch Snow on, 2 different episodes, she sits there and says, I know this guy's telling the truth. I just feel it. It's true. Like, she had no problem putting this information out. None whatsoever. So just stop, Candace. Nobody believes you. You're clearly a liar. Jackie Bluff 6116. Here's some good news, Gary. We always love good news on the show. There are about 350 million people in the U.S. Roughly 2 million watch Candy. Good stats. Love what you do. Huge respect. Thank you very much, Jackie. Love what you do and huge respect your way. Sarah Jane Blades, which we haven't seen in a while, and I think she was saying that she'd been sick. So I hope you're feeling better, Sarah. Charlie said hi to the dog. It's on the timeline. Was that
on the timeline?
Was that on the timeline? Chicago Bears played Minnesota Vikings on Monday, September 8th, with a kickoff at 7:15 Central Time, 8:15 Eastern. Scottsdale is 2 hours behind. Candace can't tell time. Now, that was September 8th. Were they, well, are you saying 2 hours behind Central? Because they're actually on Pacific time during that time in September. So
yeah, whenever the clocks change.
November.
Yeah, so we would have still been on our summer. So the East Coast is 3 hours ahead of us in the summer.
Yeah. So that would have basically been it basically would have been 5 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. I don't know if she took that into account with her timeline. There are also no airport at Fort Wanahakalugi. So you can't fly. So technically there is a military airstrip, and you probably can land planes. You obviously can land planes there. So there's, and then the other one, the nearest airport. What's the other airport in Arizona? I'm having a complete brain fart.
We have Sky Harbor. We have Mesa Gateway. I think there's a smaller one down in Tucson.
Yeah, the nearest actual airport is like 2 hour, like hour and a half away.
It'd be in Tucson, probably. Yeah. But I mean, and like your average citizen can't just land planes on a base like that, right? Like that's not gonna happen.
Oh, what they're saying is that was a government plane, so they would be able to land that if
okay.
There is an airstrip, a military airstrip, and if it was a government plane and it was a government visit, that would be coordinated and they could land there. I don't want to give any credibility to that nonsense because I think it's just that. Sarcastic Liberty says, I text my husband in my house as well, too. I also suspect his home office may be in a separate unit of the building. Maybe. I think it's actually in basically what was a study from what I've seen of it, but I could be wrong. There's
no, Charlie talked about that they had 2 apartments in that building.
Okay.
So they had like the top, I think like the penthouse, like top building. This was for security purposes, which is why they sold like their bigger house that they had in Paradise Valley. So they wanted to go into a building where they would have security, like you have to let people up to get to you, right? That makes sense from a security standpoint, since in that year he jumped massively in his popularity. His threats had probably increased. So they wanted to go into a more secure, like building type situation. Again, you have to like let people into the building and approve them to come up to the floors to get access to you, right? And so he actually talked about the apartment like across the hall, that they had bought that apartment as well, and he used that as an office and as a studio, so that he could go in there to work. Because obviously, I mean, Charlie would just jump on random, like, hey, Fox needs you to do a hit in like 15 minutes. Can you do it? Yeah, sure. Like, jump on a random thing at the last minute. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure his schedule was absolutely crazy. But yeah, so yeah, they had the apartment that they lived in, and then he has an apartment like across the way that was for work and stuff.
Interesting.
Every time she opens her mouth, I didn't like the whispering too. Like, there's a lot of whispering she does that is like, he knows. Like, I don't, some of that felt a little bit performative to me, but it's like, you know what? That's a opinion. It's a fact. And the facts followed the vibes that we were getting. And that's why you should never, you just wait, be patient, allow the truth to reveal itself. It always does. I am going to get to actually, what was our number one comment from yesterday's episode? Do we have that? Did we pull that yet? All right. Number one comment from yesterday's episode. I cherish this freedom of expression. Its loss reveals the extent to which the French people in France are under the thumb of the elite and for a very long time. That was our number one. This is the number one comment. Oh, from our French channel. Okay. I was like, I really don't think, okay, wonderful. That's amazing. It's great to have. We do have a channel that is in French. So there you go. A number one comment from our English channel is I prayed for a sign as to whether to join the military or not today. And I got my sign. Thank you, Candace. God bless you. I will not be dying for Israel.
You got your sign from Satan herself.
Something tells me of all the things that never happened the most.
Maybe somebody felt that way. I don't know. But again,
it.
You're taking your signs from Candace, you're going with the wrong signs. She wouldn't believe Frank if he did confirm it. Exactly right. Like she cherry picks information. She cherry picks everything, right? And whether it's things from the charging documents, whether it's facts, whatever it is, she cherry picks everything in every single time. Whatever direction will confirm her false narrative that she's constantly trying to create, she's going to go with that, even if it's in spite of common sense, logic, or anything else. That's what Candace does.
I mean, these people can't even track basic timelines, though. Like, the queen of timelines, ironically, can't track basic timelines. This is why so Pastor Mark Driscoll, right? When he supposedly was told that somebody was trying to kill him, like, the day before he died, which is so utterly ridiculous. That's not what was said at all. So when Pastor Mark got on stage and gave like the sermon that he gave, he literally like went over what their text conversation involved. It involved him giving Charlie some coaching and some training on how to respond to apologetics questions around the Christian faith and the doctrine surrounding the Christian faith, right? And basically, Pastor Mark said, "Hey, I'm here, I'm free, I'm available whenever you want to sit down and like go over this stuff. Like I can teach you up on this, basically train you up on how to improve these conversations. I'll teach you what I know, basically. Bible nerd stuff, basically. But in that sermon, he had said, when it comes to the political violence and the threats that we're seeing that are increasing in this country and the violent rhetoric that is definitely like going up in this country. He said when JD Vance was here during the election, this was months before, he was backstage and Charlie was also here. And basically he said like there was a conversation at that time about the level of threats that he was getting, right? And that they were increasing and that he was becoming more aware that these situations were getting more and more serious for him and his family, and how to deal with that. And like that Charlie had asked for prayer. And so they prayed for him in that specific situation. So Candace takes that, and something that happened months prior of him talking about this level of increased threats and violence and all of that gets turned into, the night before. The night before he died, he's telling people he's going to die. No, he never told anybody that he was going to die. First of all, it was conversations around how these things were increasing over a period of time. Frank Turek had a similar comment, remember, on Megyn Kelly, I believe, where he said months prior we had been having conversations about these increased threats and how these things were getting very serious and how we were taking them very seriously and increasing our security and stuff like that. And then that got flipped into the day before he died, he said people were going to kill him. And it's like, no, can you not track a basic timeline? Like,
no, she yeah, I don't even know what to say anymore about her.
I am so glad that I could do something productive. It's just, I just don't even understand why people are dying overseas at all. Our country, like I said, is in decline, and it's very obvious that the priority is just to serve Israel, and that will be Trump's legacy, sadly. And I love how they're trying to, Candace betrayed Trump. No, Trump betrayed Trump. Trump betrayed MAGA. That is what happened. Everyone can see that now. Everything he is doing is the opposite of what he said he would do. And yeah, you would actually prove yourself to just be a moron if you think that the literal Never Trump movement, which is now applauding his every move, is somehow at all reflective of original MAGA. That's so beyond ridiculous. It's stupid. Let's see some comments that you have for today's episode. I don't know how to say your name. I'm sorry. Hamularicdon. I love the fierce passion that you have for truth. Everyone has a growth arc. I love seeing your mind and your views mature. In conversations, I see that others want to trust your sincerity, but feel that you helped push the culture war, Fed slop distractions in the past too. Your honest thoughts here. I've been giving you my honest thoughts. I was a part of it. I did see it as just a problem with the left. That's the whole point. That's why I say this is our perspective on the right, and this is your perspective on the left. And it's now become very clear to me, and I would say especially after Charlie Kirk's assassination, how this really works. And yeah, I've been honest about everything. I was number one person wearing a MAGA hat thinking that Trump was going to bring forth change, and I caught a lot of bullets. And I think that that's kind of been the biggest disappointment, is that he didn't, at the end of the day, we just got it wrong with him. Or I don't know if it's just this time around, if this is who he is after the assassination. I don't know, but I don't regret learning. I don't regret growing. And I can say without question, I've always been honest. So I never said something that I didn't believe. And sometimes with more information, you learn more. Learning about Sigmund Freud, I just ripped me into a new reality in terms of how the world really works. The Brigitte story ripped me into a new reality because I didn't care about the left and the right in that moment, because I was talking about France. I don't even know what is their left and their right. It was just, wow, this is really strange. This is like a cult. And why is the entire mainstream media apparatus conspiring to hide this very obvious fact? And it just brought me to a different place that kind of sat outside of politics, which I'm happy about. Thank you for that question. Mary Garcia writes, for many years, I have learned about spiritual warfare from Father Ripperger's books and conferences. What I learned is that demons mutilate to the absurdity, militate to the absurdity. That's what I see happening with this whole Turning Point USA Eric situation.
All right. We're not going to get any more good information out of listening to her comments. It's just stupid people saying stupid things. Yeah, folks. Well, give us a breakdown, Lisa. What do you think happened tonight?
Just massive stupidity. The usual. I don't think there's really anything to say outside of what we've already said. Like, she's gone on so many tangents now, and notice how she completely abandoned the Erica history of like digging into all these people of her family, and like, did she ever connect any of that back? Nope. Is she ever going to? Probably not. Like, those of you waiting for her to like ever like resolve any of this stuff, she's not going to do that. Like, this is what she does. She gets you started down this path, and then she just abandons you. Like, yeah. And she does it over, and it starts another one, and then starts another one, and like, you're just constantly on this loop, and before you know it, you've got like 20 different tracks going in different directions, and you're like, what is happening?
I mean, Mike, the crazy thing with all of this, to me, the craziest thing out of all of this is just what you're talking about. She abandoned the French Foreign Legion. That was so solid. Everybody believed it. She had everybody believe it. Like, we have intel. The French Foreign Legion were involved in this. We know that for a fact. We can go back and pull up those. She was definitive about the French Foreign Legion. She had a number of people on the hit squad. One of them was Israeli. Everybody was like, you know what? Candace solved this. We got this. We got this. And then, of course, she went to the French assassination plot of her, which we never saw any receipts of. We never saw receipts of, again, not once, not one thing that Candace has ever said have we seen material evidence of a material claim. Not one time have we seen evidence of a material claim. Not one time have we seen evidence that Erica Kirk was down at Fort Huachuca. Not one time have we seen evidence that the French Foreign Legion were involved in any of this stuff. It's a bunch of made up humdrum nonsense, but linking things and going to their like, oh, they did a change of command. Like all this crazy stuff. Not one time have we even seen so much as evidence of her sending an email to anybody claiming that she had the French trying to assassinate her. We don't even get that. We don't see a response from that. All we have is her basically saying, oh yeah, I sent emails. And then there's somebody I text message that I know at the FBI and he left me on red. So they didn't even respond to you. You think you and your family are in danger and you don't follow it up with an email to anybody else. You don't demand a response, because I sure would. I mean, that's the normal thing to do.
Except you took it so seriously that you made sure you were at Dollywood that weekend, which is a theme park where you're going to have massive exposure to the public and crowds. Yeah. Make it make sense, bro.
None of it makes sense. Zero.
She doesn't take it seriously because she knows that it's all BS. Like at the end of the day, this is the standard narcissistic trait that she has, where something happens with Charlie, and then again, she has to write herself into the narrative. She has to write herself into the story. It's the same thing with the French thing. It's the same thing with the MK Ultra gifted program stuff. It's like she always has to find a way to bring herself into it because it's a narcissistic trait. If any attention is attention, whether it's good, bad, or otherwise, she's going to take whatever attention she can get, right? And she's got to be like front and center at all times, or they don't know what to do with themselves.
And whatever book she's reading, a movie that she watches, she's going to take something out of there that interested her, and she's going to DJ it right into the narrative. She read the book Chaos, and now everything is MK Ultra. We got to link it back to that. Whatever we have going on, anything that she reads, anything that she's fed, she's got to link it to that, because it's like a child. It is it's like dealing with a 12-year-old and somebody that is, that kid that always comes and tells you stories, the kid that comes home from school and wants to convince you, like, there's this kid at school that's an evil person. Well, tell me why they're evil. Well, I just don't like, they're just giving me bad vibes. No, you're just being a catty child. That's what's happening.
You're being overly dramatic. Yeah.
Completely dramatic. You never outgrew that. And that's what it comes down to. Blessed Boy Mom brings up a great point. I'm not sure what the answer is to this, but I do hear what you're saying. Wait, does she have to censor her show to air on the UK YouTube and France YouTube? And do that, wouldn't she need to, and to do that, wouldn't she need to pre-record her show? I'm ignorant on this. Here's what I'll say on that. Potentially, and again, like being an objective person, we want to give you information. What she could do is have her show that's uploaded to YouTube, Rumble, wherever else. And then after that, they go through and cut things out that they think would be censored, needs to be censored for a European. I don't know if that's what it works. I don't know enough to give you any sort of definitive answer, but that could happen. So there's that. Yeah, another wild ride into crazy land. I see Jay Witt's in the chat. Jay Witt and I were talking today. We were going to start doing a regular thing, and we both got busy, and then we kind of lost touch just being busy. But we're going to do something next week. Tomorrow, folks. Tomorrow, if all goes well, me and Lady Luck have been talking. We're going to do a collab tomorrow afternoon at 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Me and Lady Luck. We'll be chatting it up. We'll be going crazy. I probably will do a coverage for Candace again. We'll see how that works. We'll see what kind of how I'm feeling about that. You can take this stuff in doses. Lisa, thank you for jumping on here with me, making this tolerable. I always appreciate that. Folks, we always appreciate you over in the chat. Thank you for your support. Thank you for all the super chats. For those of you that are members, we appreciate you. What I am going to do tomorrow, most likely before, I want to try to make a regular thing. We'll do a members only prior to the Wednesday show. Something crazy happens, I'll move it to Thursday. But regardless, I want to start doing a members only show on a weekly basis, and we can just talk about whatever you want to talk about. So we'll give back to you, and I appreciate all your support. If you're not following Lisa, make sure you go follow her on X. Where else? I got a couple of your links down in the description. Where else?
X and TikTok are the main ones that I use. And I was going to say, if you guys are following me on TikTok or you want to follow me on TikTok, I started a new video series over there. I'm actually deep diving all of these Candace surrogate accounts that are pushing out a lot of her garbage, and kind of just deep diving, like, how did they get into this? When did they start talking about it? What do their views look like before? What do their views look like now? You know, all of that stuff, and kind of just like really looking at like who these people are and what their political opinions are and all of that. And so I started that series. I have one video. I'm trying to work on the second one. I filmed it 3 times yesterday and TikTok kept crashing. And so I finally just gave up. So I'm going to attempt to film it again tonight. We'll see if I can get it done. But yeah, just looking into all of these accounts and these people that are pushing, everyone's digging into Candace right now and her background, which I think is good. I think that's good information. But I think we need to dig into some of these accounts of these people that are pushing this stuff out for her, and what their story is. So that's kind of what I'm doing over there if you guys want to follow along.
Yeah, Sean, we started at 6:30, bro. Can't help if you're late, buddy. Can't help. I'm glad. It's better late than never. I'm glad you showed up.
And that's actually a little late for you, and it's because of the whole time change thing for me, which was wonky.
Look at that, Sean. Oh my gosh. Thank you, buddy. You know what? I forgive you for being late. You know what? You got to quit your job just so you can watch me and be on time. I'm just joking. Thank you. We appreciate you, man. Folks, I just saw another comment. Every time I'm trying to close things down, I see another comment. Gary, I know doing this is hard, but I believe you're making a difference for good. Love Lisa on here too. God bless you both. I hate what is happening to our beautiful country. I agree. And look, this is the message that I want to leave you with, all of you. Folks, we can't do it by ourselves. It is, if this is 90%, if you're appalled by all this, all right, I don't want to, if you feel like this is damaging to America, and this is 90% of what you're doing to combat this, and I appreciate that. Don't stop doing that. That's not what I'm saying. Then this should be 10%, and you out there spreading the message. And this is what I'm talking. This is the armory. This is where you come in here, you get informed with the facts, and this is the pre-mission brief. That's what's going on in here. We give you the facts to combat the lies, and then you go out there and you combat the lies. However that looks for you. I just had a meeting with somebody. I told you all before, and I mean this. If you feel it in your heart, convicted in your heart, that you want to start doing something with social media or something like that, email me, dlpodcast@ParamountTactical.com. If I can help you get started or anything else that I can do, I will happily do that. I just spent an hour on the phone with somebody that contacted me on that. I said, hey, look, we want to start a channel. We want to start getting into this and spreading the message, both from a Christian standpoint, but when we have issues in politics and things going on like this, folks, so many of you have talents and you're ready to get out there, whether you realize it or not. And I know it's a challenge, and I know you're scared to do it. And I get all those things. I've been there. Lisa's been there. But if you want to do something with any of this and you want to get your voice out there, feel free to contact me. I will help you do whatever I possibly can. I will give you advice from a technical standpoint, audio, video. I will have you on the show. I will promote you any way possible, and we will give you a head start far greater than anything that Lisa and I started out with. We started off with 0 subscribers. So, you just got to make the leap, and and maybe it's not that. Maybe it's out there building up a following on X, whatever it is. People have different, knowledge, skills, and abilities, talents. And, God made you to do things the way that you're going to do things. The way that I do social media is different than what Lisa does, and vice versa. But, we are effective in our own ways, and we're reaching different people. There's crossover, of course. But the point here is your voice, for those of you listening, there are people that would only listen to your voice. Your voice will be more compelling and more effective reaching them than anything I could do or anything that Lisa could do, Jay Witt or anybody else. God made you to reach certain people. This is not the last time craziness is going to happen in this country. It's not the first time. People want your voice. We got a lot of smart viewers out there that you could, if you feel convicted to do that, you should do it. Jump out there, and I'll leave it at that. Anyways, folks,
begging me to start a podcast for years, and I haven't done it. So I don't know. Maybe I will. Maybe I will at some point. I have people that tell me that pretty much every week now at this point. Like, Lisa, you need to start a podcast. I'm like, I know. But at the end of what'd you say?
Go ahead. I'm talking.
But I was gonna say, like, you guys, like, even if you're not the one making the content, even hitting that repost button helps a ton. Just literally liking, reposting, and like just something that simple on any of this content that you're seeing, and you're like, hey, that person put together a really good thought process, or I really like what they're saying here. Just repost. It's the simplest thing that you can do, but it helps so much to get this stuff out there. Because it's literally, we're fighting an uphill battle right now. Like, I don't think that you guys understand like just how difficult this is. Now, I will say we are making an impact though. Her viewers and her views are dropping. So what we are doing is making a difference, slowly but surely. It is. It doesn't seem like it when you're in the weeds, right? When you're in the thick of it, you're like, this isn't doing anything. I'm wasting my time. But it really is making a difference. And I have people every single day that tell me, like, thank you for doing this. I'm like, thank you. Somebody's got to be out here doing this. And we keep getting a lot of people saying like, oh, it's time to just ignore her. Like, just let her die out, let her go away. And I'm just like, we tried that. It didn't work. It actually backfired. And at the end of the day, I will say it again. I've said it a million times. Evil does not stop itself. It, in fact, continues to grow. You must stand up. You must face it head on, and you must just directly fight it. That is the only way to stop it. It's like Elijah when he was fighting the Baals, right? Like fighting all these Baal demons on the mountain. His assistant literally had to hold his arms up for him because he was so tired and weak he couldn't even hold his own arms up anymore, right? Like, you have to face it head on and just fight it directly. That's how these things work. Trying to ignore it, it's just going to go into the shadows and just continue to grow. So, evil doesn't stop itself. We have a job to do, and we need to do it at the end of the day. And simply hitting that repost button means the absolute world. It helps so much to just continue to push stuff out further and further. So
yeah, I mean, I can't tell you if everybody in this chat right now was reposting this or Lisa's content every single day, we would have 3 times the followers. It's a fact. If everybody did it, you would be a force multiplier multiple times over. And it doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't cost you anything. Like some of y'all, we got to like beg for a like, just like the button, please like this. Like, we sat up here for 3 hours and like, should I give them a like? I don't know. I'm running low on likes. I better budget those. Like, subscribe, and then hit that share button and share our content. Anyways, folks, we appreciate you so much. Lisa, I appreciate you so much. And I love what you're doing. Love having you on. Thank you for coming on tonight. For everybody else out there, have a wonderful night. We'll see you tomorrow. And until next time, stay armed, stay ready. We'll talk to you soon.